in a world. Why is this saying that? Yeah. What up, fam? In a world where no one knows what the world is, but a bunch of people think they do, and then claim those of us who discovered the globe is clearly really weird and just not true are stupid, but they stalk us and obsessively watch our content and spam the comments and the live chat and my DMs and my emails and out at NASA and our Discords and our Telegrams. Weird. Alright, so we're going to cover Antarctica briefly tonight. I'm going to drop the Zoom link just like we did Monday in the YouTube, pin it at the top. Ballers, come on, 10v1 if that's what you need. We'll see if you guys can show me that the Earth's a ball. So super busy lately. So we're just gonna cover one of the basics, which is Antarctica. And it's funny, right? So a lot of us, we got into flat Earth and we're like, this can't be true. This is crazy, right? My camera's kind of crooked, it looks like. And we went and looked for pictures of the Earth from space. We're like, the last real picture is from 1972, allegedly. That's weird. I already knew the moon landing was fake, so I'm like, oh, the last real picture of the Earth was from the moon missions, the Apollo missions. I'm like, that's highly suspect. This is 2015, 16. And then we find out about the Antarctic Treaty, and it's like, no one can go there. We're like, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. And then you find out, indeed, no one can privately and freely explore Antarctica. And it's been years now, right, since we really discovered this and everyone shared it to become like really public information. And there are still people that say stuff like, flat earthers just have to lie. You can totally go to Antarctica. You're just scared to go there because it'll prove you wrong. Like, why would you have to lie about that? You can't freely and privately explore Antarctica. You can't go past the 60th south latitude without permission, prior approval. They signed the Antarctic Treaty in the late 50s. Why are you lying about it? That's so weird, bro. It's so weird. So, like, real people discovered that in 45, the government brought people over here in Operation Paperclip from the Nazi regime who were obsessed with Antarctica. 46, they immediately started Operation High Jump and went and explored the Antarctic region. And that went on for a while into the 50s, like 55. We did Operation Deep Freeze, further investigation of Antarctica, leading into the 1957 International Geophysical Year, as the government calls it, where they cooperated with major nations to put a distant early warning system around 55 degrees north latitude, trip lines that show any activity inside of that area. Then also concentrated on the southern region, all just declassified facts. And then in 58, they founded NASA. In 59, they signed the Antarctic Treaty. There were like 12 original countries that signed it, and now it's like 50 something. Every major world country or world superpower, right? So that's weird. They went and explored that region, founded the first American base called Little America after the Nazis were obsessed with it and they brought them over here. Then they said, you can't privately go there. Longest lasting peace treaty in modern history. Like, normal people think that's weird. Think that's suspect. They're like, oh, there's something going on here. Liars pretend that that doesn't matter. That's not a real thing. Weird. Okay, so we're going to cover the fact that you objectively cannot explore Antarctica privately and freely by any stretch of the imagination. And that to talk about approved guided tours to a little bitty portion of Antarctica is a complete diversion, irrelevant, weirdo thing to bring up. And like I said, I'm dropping the Zoom in the chat. Any ballers that wants to come on, come on. What I would suggest to you is stop lying so much. It's bad for your soul. It's bad for your spirit. And you recruit true earthers more than any of us ever could. They see grown men spiral on the internet for years lying about stuff like the Antarctic Treaty. Flat earthers say you can't go to Antarctica. They're so stupid. You can just get a tour there. No, we say you can't privately and freely explore Antarctica. You can only go where they allow you to. They wait a couple minutes, then they say it again. Flat earthers say you can't go to Antarctica, and that's just patently wrong. You definitely can. They have to lie. They're scared because they know if they go to Antarctica, it'll prove them wrong. Weird, bruh. It's weird that you're like a grown adult and you're suffering from cognitive dissonance so much that you allow yourself to think that that somehow makes sense to behave like that. I think it's weird. I'm going to upload our disclaimer real fast. And then we're going to look through some of this legislation. I'll drop a video in the chat you guys should check out if you haven't seen it. Sorry, Antarctica's closed by Taboo Conspiracy. And then we're going to have the ballers come on and see if they can.
The following contains scenes that globular.
It turns out the government does love us, and they're not hiding anything. All right, here's the disclaimer for the ballers that obsessively stalk the channel.
Warning. The following contains scenes that globularists may find disturbing. If you are suffering from cognitive dissonance, you may experience violent, degenerate, and erratic behavior. Viewer discretion is advised.
Don't make it weird, bro. All right. Let's come over here. Requirements for FE Nation gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much, brother. Greatly appreciate it. Actually, let me pop back over here. And
the following contains scenes.
Sorry, I guess it thinks you really need to get the picture. All right. I wanted to put the alerts up. All right. Shout out to FE Nation for gifting 5 memberships. Very cool. All right. So, requirements for Antarctic travel. I'm going to go ahead and drop the Zoom link in the YouTube chat. And now we are going to pin it to the top of the chat. Any ballers want to come on? There you go. You talk so big and reckless in my chat, in my comments. You're here religiously. You should be able to easily come on, outnumber me, and show me that the Earth's a ball. Let me go ahead and cover some rules here. No interruptions. You know, there will be some leniency. If you incessantly interrupt, you'll get muted. What happens is when I start to make coherent points and I'm building up to my point and they can see that I'm about to destroy their argument, they have to impulsively interrupt to stop it from happening because they're freaking out. They can't hear it all together. They have to stop it. They have to censor it for their own cognitive dissonance and those around them. Hence a disclaimer, if you're suffering from cognitive dissonance, as majority of globularists are, then you may have erratic behavior. So they just start interrupting, trying to censor me with interruptions. No diversions and running away from the point. If you use a fallacy, it will be called out, explained why it's a fallacy, and it will be addressed. So there's no interruptions, no diversions and incessant fallacies, and no excessive cussing. So pretty simple rules. Basically, the rules are act like an adult. That's pretty much it. So if you guys are going to continually be in my chat and my comments and spam, but you never jump on, you probably won't be here forever. I'm just going to be real. Super lame. I find it very gay. All right, moving on. If you have to deny what we're about to cover, there's no hope for you.
The Antarctica gravy you're about to pour is going to be coincidence number 1373 for the Globers #. Welcome to the Remedial Clown Show of Globers.
Welcome to the Remedial Clown Show of Globers. Thank you for being a member level 2, Miswit. Nice. Samuel Paul Sackler. Thank you for being a Miswit for 7 months. Hey, so like here's an example of one of the Glober degenerates, right? Who in the right mind debates well-established facts and go on rap-off based pigeon chest judging. You can't even coherently speak. Can't even make coherent statements. It's something we should be like sympathetic almost. It's like these people have legitimate mental issues, you know, but you're a perfect example. If you just sit here and spam insults and all this weird low IQ, low vibration stuff, but you don't just jump on and talk like an adult, you'll eventually be hidden. All right. Requirements for Antarctic travel. The Antarctic Treaty was signed December 1st, 1959 in Washington by 12 nations, including the United States and the Soviet Union, who were engaged in the Cold War at the time. Totally makes sense. Since the original signing, an additional 44 countries have signed onto the treaty, bringing the total to 56 countries. So, after a little over a decade of exploring the Antarctic region, the United States and the Soviet Union, along with 10 other countries, while they're in the Cold War, sign a treaty, a peace treaty about Antarctica, unexplored land, while the whole world was consistently fighting for the previous 3-4 decades, or really forever, over every square inch of land. In the midst of a war, they came to an agreement. We'll leave that land alone. Since the original signing, an additional 44 countries have signed onto the treaty, bringing the total to 56 countries. The protocol designates the entire continent of Antarctica as a natural reserve and states, as a matter of principle, that all activities are to be planned and conducted on the basis of information sufficient to evaluate their possible impact on the Antarctic environment and its associated ecosystems, and on the value of Antarctica for the conduct of scientific research. Organizers should be aware that the environmental protocol requires that, quote, activities shall be modified, suspended, or canceled if they result in or threaten to result in impacts upon the Antarctic environment or dependent or associated ecosystems. If you have to deny this, it's super weird, bro. China doesn't technically sign the treaty, but they're in agreement to the treaty, publicly on the record. As a result of the treaty, free travel throughout the country is prohibited. The process for gaining access to travel into Antarctica will be outlined here. Good evening, brother. Keep crushing. Thank you, JJ, and for being a member. State Department approval. OMB 1405-0181, which is right here. I'll drop all these in the Telegram. States, OES/OPA uses the Advanced Notification Form to collect information from persons organizing tourists and other non-governmental expeditions to Antarctica from the United States.
Crushing.
Thank you. That is needed to comply with advanced notification requirements contained in Article 5A of the Antarctic Treaty. The advanced notification form, which is right here, and I have it downloaded, we can look at it in a second. Like, if you have to deny this, bro, it's really, really weird. Like, you're just being weird. Like, you have got to get something figured out.
No
Rokfin stream? Oh, man. Thanks for telling me. Rokfin should be live now. Thanks for telling me and for being a member for 8 months. All right. The advanced notification form requires the form to be submitted no later than 3 months prior to intended travel to the Antarctic Treaty area. All right. Believe it or not, the government that enforces the rules and say that we have to give them no less than 3 months advance notice that we want to travel and explore Antarctica, and they have to approve it, hold weight over anonymous weirdos that say flat earth is stupid but have been obsessed with the conversation for 7 years, and after 7 years they still have to lie about every single aspect of the conversation, including the Antarctic Treaty, and that we can't privately explore there. The fact that people lie about it should be very eye-opening to those that are new to the conversation. Why do the biggest proponents of the globe blatantly lie about the Antarctic Treaty? It's really weird. Like, you should be wondering not only why does it exist, but why do people have to lie? Because they can't even look into the face of the possibility that there's something south that's being hidden. They have to lie to themselves, and I encourage you not to be like that, because it will literally result in illness, and it's been proven scientifically. For the purposes of this forum, expeditions to Antarctica include activities south of 60 degrees south latitude, quote unquote. 60 degrees south latitude is more than 50 miles from the shoreline of Antarctica in most locations, 500 miles, and actually even significant mileage above that. As part of the application, you must provide an itinerary of all activities and the purpose of those activities. Once completed, the form is submitted to the U.S. Department of State for approval. By the way, I actually went to some of the official sites, saw the email that you're supposed to contact to give them specifics of some type of exploration or expedition you want to perform, and they'll guide you in the right direction of how to get it done. Super professional email. I'll pull it up in a second. No response, been over a month. Sent like 3 of them, different emails, different addresses. Just ignored it. Just ignored the request for clarity on what we need to do to take a group of 20 people to Antarctica and freely and privately explore indefinitely and go wherever we wanted to when we were there to explore it. Just ignored it. Totally nothing to see here. EPA approval. In addition to the advanced notification form, Part 8 requires any person organizing a non-governmental expedition. Oh. Don't make it weird. I think my headphones died. Alright, you can probably still hear me, but I can't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this. I'm going to play the song for just a second, just to grab my other headphones. Just a sec.
For Israel, wonder is it real? Rappers acting steady high, steady sipping pills, glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up, had to flip the pills, control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, I be in the field. That's for Israel, wonder is it real? Took the way you saw the world, then distorted it. Now you think you wanna rocket twirl somewhere orbiting. Theories disproportionate, the truth distorted quick with a forceful grip. They force them to simple that we absorbing quick. Took the people's signature.
I mean, extorted it. They forged into news anchors informants who informed them. There's a surplus, but they tell us there are shortages. Credit economy, mortgages. A dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. What's important is this: we important ships, important gifts. Of course it is. What extortion is in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks. We ignoring which informant this, we snoring trick. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics is exactly what abortion is. You just vilified those insubordinate. Way to matrix engineer. That's unfortunate. Alright, my bad. Sorry about that. Back at it. Alright. Requires any person organizing a non-governmental expedition. Right here. to or within Antarctica to prepare an environmental document. Unless an operator determines and documents that a proposed activity will have less than a minor or transitory impact on the Antarctic environment, the operator will prepare an IEE or CEE. If an operator determines they will have only a minor impact, they must submit a preliminary environmental review to the EPA for review no less than 180 days before proposed departure of the expedition. The EPA will provide comments to the operator, and the operator shall have 75 days to prepare a revised PERM or an IEE if necessary. Depending on what the EPA determines, which, by the way, if you might have to be using the bathroom or bring external water supply or fuel supplies or equipment, then you're screwed. Depending on what the EPA determines, an operator could have to submit an initial environmental evaluation or a comprehensive environmental evaluation. The cost of such a process is difficult to determine, but according to the GAO, they estimate that a typical EIS costs from $250,000 to $2 million. EAs and CEs generally cost less than EIS, according to CEQ and federal agencies. Given that expertise on Antarctica would be severely limited, costs for an environmental study could be very costly, and then you could still be denied access. It is determined that a CE would be required, 40 CFR 8.8, requires any operator who plans a non-governmental expedition that would require a CE must submit a draft of the CE by December 1st of the preceding year. Within 15 days of receipt of the draft CE, EPA will send it to the Department of State, which will circulate it to all parties to the protocol and forward it to the Committee for Environmental Protection established by the protocol, and published notice of receipt of the CE and request for comments on the CE in the Federal Register, and will provide copies to any person upon request. The EPA will accept public comments on the CE for a period of 90 days following notice in the Federal Register. The EPA, in consultation with other interested federal agencies, will evaluate the CE to determine if the CE meets the requirements under Article 8 in Annex 1 to the protocol, and the provisions of this part will transmit its comments to the operator within 120 days following publication in the Federal Register of the Notice of Availability to the CE. No, you can totally just go to Antarctica freely. Stupid flurfs. In addition to the required approval procedures by the State Department and the EPA, the National Science Foundation issues permits related to waste management by tour operators. This is governed by the Antarctic Conservation Act of 1978, Part 671, which states, these regulations in Part 671 apply to any U.S. citizen's use or release of a banned substance, designated pollutant, or waste into Antarctica. Like using the bathroom. A designated pollutant is defined as any substance designated as such by the director pursuant to subpart E of this part, any pesticide, radioactive substance, or substance consisting of or containing any chemical listed by source, generic, or chemical name at 40 CFR 61.01, which is, of course, federal law. Table 116.4, you get it. It's all right there. I'm not going to read all the parts off. And any substance which exhibits a hazardous waste characteristic as defined in subparts B and C of 40 CFR Part 261, but shall not include any banned substance. Waste is defined as any substance that will no longer be used for any useful purpose, but does not include substances to be recycled in Antarctica, or substances to be reused in a manner different from their initial use, provided such substances are stored in a manner that will prevent their dispersal into the environment, and further provided that they are recycled, reused, or disposed of in accordance with the provisions of the part within 3 years. Recycling includes, but is not limited to, the reuse, further use, reclamation, or extraction of a waste through a process of activity that is separate from the process of activity that produced the waste. The permit requires a description of the types, expected concentrations and volumes of waste and designated pollutants to be released in Antarctica, the nature and timing of such releases, arrangements for waste management, including without limitation plans for waste reduction, minimization, treatment and processing, recycling, storage, transportation and disposal, arrangements for training and educating personnel to comply with these waste management requirements and procedures, and arrangements for monitoring compliance, and other arrangements for minimizing and monitoring the environmental impacts of proposed operations activities. A description of the types, expected concentrations, and volumes of designated pollutants to be used in Antarctica, the nature of timing of such uses, the method of storage of designated pollutants, and a contingency plan for controlling releases in a manner designed to minimize any resulting hazards to health and the environment. Upon receipt of a complete and properly executed application for the permit, the director will decide whether whether and on what conditions he will issue a permit. In making this decision, the director will carefully consider any comments or suggestions received from interested parties, the Environmental Protection Agency, and other federal agencies pursuant to section 671.6d, and will determine whether the permit requested meets the objectives of the Act, the protocol, and the requirements of these regulations. The director may approve an application for a permit in whole or in part and may condition such approval upon compliance with additional terms and conditions. How vague could that be? Permits shall be issued in writing, shall be signed by the director, shall specify duration. Shall specify duration, bro? Oh yeah, you can totally freely explore Antarctica and go figure out if they're hiding anything though, which is the whole point of the conversation. And shall contain such terms and conditions as may be established by the director and as are consistent with the act and this part. And there are people right now, legit, I know this is like, I'm just reading, but I know people are like, oh man, there are people right now that can't even hear it. They can't listen. They can't hear it. They're just like, they're just trying to protect the environment. Like they have already come up with a hand wave dismissal to avoid their brain from critically assessing and accepting the information that's right here, which is that you cannot privately and freely explore Antarctica. They had to keep saying that. So like, yeah, you just have to make sure you're not going to destroy the environment. Duh. Like they've already planned a way to escape it in their head, or they're just like antagonizing other people in the chat and completely ignoring it. They literally, if you are listening to this and you can't pay attention to what they've set up, preventing us from freely exploring Antarctica, you are suffering from cognitive dissonance. Like there's no way around it, bro. Like if you're just afraid of information, you're a weirdo. That's the reality. You're super weird to me. If you're like scared of information and you just do all this little like gamma mail, lying, subverting, diverting, obfuscating, flip it, change the subject, gaslight, obfuscate, abort, lie, must twist information, must ignore information. Let me go make fun of him about this over here that's unrelated so I can avoid the reality of the situation, which is there's a circle drawn around you called the 60th south latitude. You are a slave inside your playpen. You're not allowed to leave that area. Right after the American government went and explored that area, they said off limits, and that's the case to this day in 2023, and it will continue to be extended over and over and over. They are not going to let you privately and freely explore out past the slave's playpen. And imagine being the person that runs around gaslighting those trying to bring attention to that and actually defending it. You're a defense attorney for the people that enslaved you. Let me give you an analogy because I'm trying to give you guys a reading break. Here's an analogy. So you're a slave, okay, and you have a bunch of slave friends. You've been a slave for a while. You were born into the slave state. You didn't even really understand that you were a slave. Some of the other slaves are like, bro, guess what? We're slaves. So I know you think you can freely explore and all this stuff, but he's like, you know, it's simple psychological manipulation. If the slave knows that there's a door that's locked, he has to find a key to the door. You don't want to deal with that. You're constantly having to make sure he can't find the key. He doesn't know how to unlock the door. You have to keep an eye on him. He knows he's trapped. If he can freely walk in and out of that door and doesn't realize he's a slave, that's the best slave ever. So you break this down to your slave friends. You're like, we're slaves. We're trapped here. If you get to the perimeter, they're not going to let you. My buddy the other day went and tried to go to the perimeter. He's in jail or whatever, right? Because to try to make it somewhat analogous to Antarctica. So anyway, and every Thursday night, the slaves get together. They have their poker night. And then say I come in. So I'm not the slave. You guys are slaves in this analogy. I come in Thursday night. The master is asleep. I kick in the door. I'm like, bruh, let's get out of here. He's asleep. Let's get out of here. I'm strapped up. Everything. We're good. They're like, bro, it's our poker night. I'm like, bruh, you're a slave? Let's leave. And then you're like, no, I want to play my poker night. And you start getting mad at me because I'm trying to get you out. I'm like, you can play poker every night, though. Like, let's just leave. Like, he's asleep right now. Let's just leave. And you're like, no, he gives me food. He gives me water. You know, of course he doesn't want us leaving the perimeter. It's dangerous out there. How can they police everyone outside the perimeter? Of course they don't let us go past the perimeter. They're looking out for us. They're just looking out for the trees and the park that's outside the perimeter. You know, people throw trash on the ground. People may just do drugs or pee on the ground. You know, they're just trying to protect the land. Or even worse, you're like, you're lying. You can totally go past the perimeter. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I'm like, no, here's all the evidence. You can't go past perimeter. They're not going to let you. This is the only time we can try to go. Let's leave. You're lying. You're so stupid. this guy thinks that we're slaves. Like, that's what you guys sound like. It's called Stockholm Syndrome, okay? And you realize that's a real psychological effect. The uncomfortability and fear of the fact that you may have been born into a system that has a powerful group of people at the top that have propagandized you from birth, taken over the school curriculum, put you into a school system that makes you go there for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, stand in line like a good little slave like you're in jail, get your little gel tray of food, sit down at the monotonous gray and white tables, sit there until the bell rings, then you got to get up and go to the next place, sit in the really cold, hard seat over and over and be brainwashed. You have to clock in every day, 5 days a week, 8 hours, just like a 9 to 5. You have to go work your job just like a 9 to 5. And then you get graded just like an employer. They trained you to be a slave, and then they took over the curriculum and brainwashed you. The Rockefellers completely rewrote all of history, all of science, everything they want you to know, right? Propagandized you from the age that you first went to school. And then you have not even chosen to step back and realize that. It's weird, bro. You have to like the uncomfortability and fear of that fact that something that massive has happened and they've brainwashed you and misguided you, and they are trying to control you and manipulate your behavior and your beliefs. You're so scared of that you suffer from a psychological block that doesn't allow you to even look at it, much less accept it. People will sit in this room, can't even fully understand what's being read to them because of this psychological effect. You'll go as far as to gaslight and attack the people that also got brainwashed with you, also were in the slave circle. We still have the playpen drawn around us as well. We're just trying to figure out a way to wake the slaves up enough that we can try to get out of there, bring awareness to it. And you're attacking us as if you're their defense attorney. You know, like, I don't cuss, but you sound like a little girl. All right. Here we go. In addition, there are a variety of areas in the Antarctic have been afforded special protection because of their particular ecological, scientific, historic, or other values. Oh, historic values of the place that no one ever went. Totally makes sense. Entry into certain areas may be prohibited except in accordance with a permit issued by an appropriate national authority. That sounds like privately and freely exploring. Hit you with you need to pay $250,000 to get a test, up to $2 million. Oh, 3 months in advance. Oh, never mind, make it 180 days in advance as well. Totally legit. Activities in and near designated historic sites and monuments in certain other areas may be subject to special restrictions. Thank you for the vague information. These areas are outlined in 4 separate sections of the handbook. 1, 2, 3, and 4, all linked here. I'll go ahead and just drop this whole entire link in the chat. Think about it. There are people that are in here right now, right, that constantly say that we're lying about not being able to go to Antarctica freely. And I'm dropping the link right there. And they just they probably won't even read it. All right, anyway. If your intended path happens to cross into any of the areas outlined in the handbook, you will need a permit for that as well. It is unlawful for any person to enter or engage in activities within any Antarctic specially protected area. Hey, real quick question. Say I have a house and I have a whole bunch of money there in gold, and I'm hiding like all kinds of things I'm doing. Say I'm hiding something that's rightfully yours in my house, and then you come over for a party and it's like a 5-story house. I have like hundreds of acres, and I let you come in and I'm like, you're not allowed to leave the dining room. Now, if you ask me specific permission and give me plenty of time heads up and tell me that you want to walk to the living room, I may approve it. I might need some money. You're only allowed to be there for a second. Tell me exactly how long you're going to be there. Tell me exactly where you're going to go. You're not allowed to bring anything with you. If at any point in time I want to come stop you and just indefinitely detain you without due process or take everything that you have on your person, I'm allowed to do that. And you can only leave the dining room if you get express permission from me in very specific areas. There are some areas, like upstairs in my bedroom, in the closet, in the safe. You cannot go upstairs. You're not allowed to go upstairs. You're not allowed to leave this 1 acre, right? The other 400 acres, you're not allowed to go there at all, period. And then you come and tell someone, I know exactly what's at Austin's house. I know everything in Austin's house. Some people think Austin's hiding stuff in his house. You can go to his house. Like, it's so goofy, bro. It's so weird. It's actually a very sad state of affairs. That's why I am actually covering it. It's as basic as it is. This permit is also issued by National Science Foundation, and upon receipt of a complete and properly executed application for a permit and expiration of the applicable public comment period, the director will decide whether to issue the permit. In making the decision, and this is actually unconstitutional, right? This is unfettered discretion. That's unconstitutional. In making the decision, the director will consider, in addition to the specific criteria set forth in the appropriate subparts of this Part A, whether the authorization requested meets the objectives of the Act and the requirements of the regulations in this part, or B, the judgment of persons having expertise in matters germane to the application, and C, whether the applicant has failed to disclose material information required or has made false statements about any material fact in connection with the application. Wow, good. Subjective arbitration based on what they think you lied about. Hop on the stream, ballers. Yeah, I don't think any of the ballers are on right now, to be honest. Let me check. Yeah, we have no one on right now, but it's all good. We're almost done. Where are the ballers at, though? Why are you guys not jumping on the Zoom? It's pinned at the top of the chat. So, I see you guys in here. It's like, I can't even comprehend offending this. And then turning around and invoking Antarctica constantly as if some type of proof of something. It's just really, really, really sad. In addition, there are 7 countries with territorial claims on Antarctica. Chile, Britain, Argentina, Norway, Australia, France, more Australia, New Zealand. And then there's an unclaimed area. The northern and southern limits of the Norwegian claim are undefined. The northern limit of the other claims is the coastline of Antarctica. Oh, totally legit. The ballers lost their balls. Yeah, they can't come on here. They can't come on here. They don't want to debate me whenever there's a moderator that doesn't moderate, and then they're able to just scream over me and interrupt the entire time. Which should be pretty telling. They stalk my comments and my chats, but they don't actually want to debate. They just want to pretend they're proving me wrong, and I'm so stupid they can prove me wrong with one comment in the comment section, but they can't come on and like actually debate it. Goofy. Let's see. Other policies with potential to subjectively restrict Antarctic travel. Do not use aircraft, vessels, small boats, or other means of transportation in ways that disturb wildlife, either at sea or on land. In ways that disturb wildlife, thanks for the specificity, do not damage plants, for example, by walking, driving, or landing on extensive moss beds or lichen-covered scree slopes. Finally, if you make it through the approval process, good luck. And again, the approval process says you have to tell them exactly where you're going and how long you're going to be gone. So you can't even get approved at all to freely and privately explore. It's not even on the table to be approved for it. Specifically. If you wanted to go and be like, I think you're lying about Antarctica. It's supposedly 3,500 miles across. I want to go across it. I want to freely explore. If we see a direction we want to go, we want to head that way. We want no limit on how long we're there. We want to make up our route as we go. It's literally against the rules. They said they won't even accept such a thing for the potential permit approval. How insane is that, bro? The terrain itself is harsh and forgiving, and all regulations in place start the 60th south latitude, hundreds of miles from the Antarctic, whatever. All right, now, this is what we're going to do. Maybe you guys can help me understand how this somehow makes sense here. So here's where they claim that we live. On this ball that defies physics. This is actually a cartoon, but that's the best you're going to get. Let's be real. Let's get some of this stuff off here. All right. Okay. Now let's look at the corresponding latitudes here. So 60 degrees north. Look, this would be 60 degrees north here. Okay. Look how much land would be cut off if you couldn't travel 6 degrees north. northern Canada. Look, 60 degrees north right here. You see this? All of northern Canada. You couldn't go to. Like major cities in Russia, you couldn't go to. If they didn't let you go past the 60 north latitude, look how much of the land we wouldn't be allowed to see. Look how big that area is, right? But again, the anomalous south, right? You're not allowed to go past 60 degrees south latitude. But why? Why though? Why all the way to 60 degrees south latitude though? Huh? Has any baller used their brain to try to figure this one out? All the way down here, all this land, you can't go anywhere here? Why can't we go in this water here? Oh, just about the ice and the penguins and whatever nonsense you tell yourself to make yourself avoid the truth. Well, what's up with all this area? Why is all this under regulation? All of this. Now, if you've actually watched the magnetic declination stream, you'll know why. It all falls apart right around the 60 degrees. All the way out to here, you can't go. And to get an idea, that would be, again, right here, that would be all of northern Canada, bro, and Alaska, and major cities in Russia. Like, enlighten me, bro. You guys don't think it's weird? I think it's weird. I think the ballers might be scared to come on. Let me double check. Oh, is this a baller? Rick, are you a baller? You got me so excited that a baller came here. Are you there, Rick? Okay, well, we'll come back to you in a second or something. All right. So until some ballers, I'll drop the link again, even though it's pinned at the top. We'll have to find a way to actually get the ballers in here. It's like they're super scared. We got to offer them money or something. You think you got... What's my phone number? What are you talking about? I'm not giving you my phone. Yeah, let me put my phone number in a chat with grown men that stalk me and send me death threats. What? I'm so confused. Oh, here we go. Oh, Rick. Rick, are you there? I did ask you earlier, and I'm muted back. Okay, I'm for one absolutely amazed that ballers are scared to jump on. You say YouTube is glitching? Is the stream good? Is everyone cool? All right. It's a Zoom call. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's so funny. Like, what's your phone number, Austin? What? Dude, I have a wife, bro. Like, don't make it weird. You guys are scared. You guys are scared to come on here because you can't interrupt me. If you can't interrupt me, I can take you on 10v1. Like, no cap at all. Like, 10v1. Make it 20. Literally make it 100 Globers. I will take you on 100v1. You guys just can't interrupt me. I do not fear you, Austin. That's why I fearfully stalk your comment sections and chats, but won't come on and debate whenever I'm given a chance. All right. So we'll watch a video until any ballers want to pretend like they're actually capable of coming on and defending their belief system. Because we do have a good little video about this, and then I'll play part of it, then you guys can go check it out some other time. With much respect, I met you in San Diego. Can you please address retrograde motion of the planets? Yeah, sure. There it is. Yeah. I bet it's going to read it. Why don't you circumnavigate the 50th south parallel? That should put it to bed one way or the other. Why would it put it to bed? Why don't you jump on and talk about it? Like, I'm not even making you guys get on camera, which you should have to. The ballers are terrified, bro. It's 2023. They can only debate me if they can get in Discord and like interrupt, spam, diversions, obfuscate, have all kinds of people with them that's doing it with them. If they can jump on like modern day debate where they can constantly...
Much respect. I met you in San Diego. Can you please address retrograde motion of planets?
You got destroyed on Monday, thought he was onto something too. How did I get destroyed? Why don't you come on? If you're talking to me... I don't know if you're talking to me though. Maybe you're not. Maybe I should chill, but yeah, I'll address retrograde in just a second. So, surely you're not talking to me, but I'm just gonna address it. So the dude came on Monday and tried to say like, is the sun inside the dome or whatever? And I'm like, no, I don't. It could be inside the containment. Sure, I don't claim a dome for intents and purpose. Whatever. What's your point? Wouldn't get to the point. And dude said, Jan, you're watching my live stream and you think Flat Earth is stupid and you're here every single time I go live. And you're putting Jan in the chat. Anyway, this dude was saying, we can test the shadows to see if the sun actually goes faster. He doesn't understand the difference in angular speed and tangential speed, or angular velocity and tangential velocity. I tried to explain it to him in like elementary terms, but he just kept interrupting, asking different questions. I explained to him, there's 15 degrees per hour. Right? There's 15 degrees per hour, but it can change altitudes and it's there's a difference in angular speed and tangential speed. So you have the angular velocity staying the same 15 degrees per hour. And then you have the tangential speed or velocity changing because it goes faster. So the shadows are going to be based on the 15 degrees per hour. There are different things. Even like... there are ballers that are claiming that like I just had to say nuh-uh and ran away, and I explained it like to a 5-year-old. I'm like, it's 15 degrees per hour, but it still is a different altitude and going faster in the south. It's like, what, dude? It's the shadows stay the same because of the difference in angular and tangential velocity. But anyway. Super goofy, man. I guess I should have just like not let him, like kind of muted him and like really made it, like said it like I just did. I thought everyone would understand that clearly what he's saying is retarded. But even in the globe, by the way, that's like a very important distinction. Like the globe, it spins and it has different tangential speeds, right? It has different tangential velocities, but it has the same angular velocity. I mean, you destroyed him, made him realize he didn't understand it, but believes it blindly. Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, that's why I think on that show specifically, the question is always going to start off with, do you have any actual evidence that we move around the sun? Right? Because none of them do, bro. None of them do. And you were talking about how ballers are pretty. They are, bro. They are. Are you not aware of this? All right, anyway, retrograde. So if the Earth is in the center and everything moves around it, so say there are many different ways you could do that, right? But just say you have a neotectonic system. If you had like the quote-unquote planets, luminaries that are closer, because from my understanding, it looks like the planets are just wandering stars, planae, and they're closer. They're in like a lower density layer. They're closer to the Earth. We see them with a little bit more detail. They look slightly different. They have different motions. Scriptures say they were rebellious entities, but hey, I know that's too much for some people. Anyway, so it's like if they were moving around the sun as it moved around the Earth, you would get retrograde. Not that they actually went backwards, you would get what looked like retrograde. And of course, you could, in theory, create a model where they actually just loop around and do these little different backwards. Nothing's impossible on a geocentric Earth, and that's what's so hilarious. But anyway, you could even use their own dynamics just to show like retrograde from within their paradigm. You can use Newtonian or Einsteinian mechanics and explain it, and a kinematic relationship of Kepler's laws. You can satisfy Kepler's laws, which are the planetary motion laws, right? You can satisfy Kepler's laws with a geocentric Earth with retrograde, aberration, parallax, all that, by simply having the quote-unquote planets move around the sun. Now, is that what actually happens? I don't know. Maybe. Like technically, you could have perfect circles just going around the Earth, and it looks like ellipses from our perspective because they go different speeds. So you have different altitudes, different speeds, different mediums. All this plays a role in what we perceive in the cycle. Retrograde could simply just be These things all move in relation to the sun as it moves around the Earth throughout the course of the year on its ellipse. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. And it could just be moving in a cycle in relation to that, like within a torus field. Right? And just the whole cycle processes, basically. So you're going to see it all move in relation. Thank you for the $20 super chat, brother. Hope my YouTube is not glitching out, because it's kind of glitching out for me. So hopefully it works for you guys. Can you guys let me know, is the YouTube glitching out, or is it just like on my end? I don't think they expected to get put on the spot like this. They thought it was going to be a typical stream where they can make fun of everyone while providing zero evidence. Yeah, that's why we're switching everything up. Like, I'm going to cover something quickly, and then I want the ballers to call in. Monday, we're talking about heliocentrism. Prove to us that we're going around the sun. They never will. They can't. And then School and Globers, I'll cover a subject. You come on. Either you can talk about the subject, admit you can't address the subject, or you have to agree that what I presented is true, and then you can bring up whatever you think proves the globe. Not to mention the retrograde periods make sick geometric patterns from the geocentric perspective and just random chaos in heliocentric model. Yeah, that's true. Especially whenever you look at it, like you zoom out and look at the heliocentric model, it's like insane. Looks good, not glitching. Cool, cool. All right. We're going to play a little bit of Taboo for a second, and hopefully some ballers jump in on Zoom, but I wouldn't hold my breath, to be honest. But this is a good video to kind of break down some Antarctica. Which is a pretty basic thing, right? Anyone that's honest is not gonna like have done any research and still deny that you can't freely and privately explore Antarctica. All right. There we are. And that's the wrong screen. All right, let's check it out.
Claiming that such a magnet is...
I'm going to skip a little bit.
Now, why in the world is this much area blocked off at the south? Do you really think it's because of penguins?
Drop in the link to this video in the chat. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out.
You see, first there was just one, now there's thousands of them.
Are they trying to tell us something?
So what's the problem?
Well, among other things, we are messing with their food chain.
And we have got to do something about it.
We suggest a ban on all marine harvesting.
Do you think the child propaganda from Happy Feet is true? The Antarctic Treaty was executed in 1959 and has been in place ever since. Think about it. No country had any real alleged concerns about the environment at that time. One of the more interesting facts is that the Soviet Union also ratified the treaty, and did so from the beginning on December 1st, 1959. Do you really think the Soviets were truly concerned about the penguins and the fragile Antarctic environment? In other words,
dude, the Russia-American conflict propaganda is still being used to this day. It's like incredible that people don't see through that. It's incredible. I'm installing Zoom. Very exciting. Again, just to break down the rules here. No interruptions, no yelling, no excessive cussing. Like, I don't care about you accidentally slipping up and cussing here and there or whatever, but excessive cussing, interruptions, raising your voice, basically acting like a child. Not allowed, but pretty simple. All right. Maybe we actually get a couple ballers in here. We'll see. I'll drop the link to the Zoom once again.
America, the USSR, and the rest of the major countries of the world remain partners in generally closing Antarctica throughout most of the so-called fake space race, the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, the fake moon landings, most of the Cold War, the Vietnam War, the Six-Day War, the Soviet-Afghan War, and the collapse of the Soviet Union, which at that time Russia continued as a signatory in 1992. That's some peculiar cooperation transcending international conflicts, don't you think? Do you really think that the vast resources and strategic military benefits of Antarctica were multilaterally put aside because of penguins? Even North Korea has been a signatory since 1987. For some strange reason, the Antarctic Treaty has remained sacrosanct for nearly 60 years, regardless of worldwide conflicts.
Hello.
For the reasonable, objective person, alarm bell should be...
I heard you were begging for Globers to come in. Would you unblock me in the chat, please? Oh, well then goodbye. If you're not going to unblock me, I'm not going to give you any content. No, it's a condition. It's a condition. It's a condition. It's my condition. It's my condition for being here. I've always been honest with you. I don't know what you mean by, I don't know what freely and privately means. I heard that, I saw some of that. Those were restrictions. Those were, you need a certificate. You need a pass or something like that to go, right? Yeah. 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 Do you need a pass to go to a federal place? I think you do. Yes. So there's no problem. What's the problem then? You can still go there, right? You can go to Yellowstone. Yeah. Yeah. So you can go there then. So you can go there then, right? You can go. I didn't mute you. I didn't mute you. I was talking. Yeah. 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 Because I don't think that restrictions on a permit to go there, it limits your ability to go there. You can't go anywhere you want at Yellowstone, right? You are restricted to places. No, you can't. You can't disturb the wildlife. You can't do certain things, right? Because it's a pristine environment. It's a pristine environment that's very delicate, right?
I'm sorry.
So
I'm sorry. I was muted.
You need a permit. You need a permit. That doesn't mean you can't go.
Sorry, I was muted to the chat. Oh man, that was terrible. You had to just listen to just Brenda. Whew.
That's up to you. Nobody cares.
I know. No one cares.
Just get over yourself.
So you admit that we can't freely and privately explore Antarctica?
You need a permit. If that doesn't meet your condition of freely and privately, then no, you can't. You have to have a permit, and you have to stay in designated areas.
Right. So then if they were hiding something there, like the nature of the Earth could be tested by supposedly going there and doing a full circumnavigation over the continent, then we can't actually test that claim by going to Antarctica, can we?
You can test that claim easily. You can test the globe Earth from your own house.
So can we go to Antarctica to see if they're hiding something?
You can go there to test your theory that the Earth is flat.
Okay, you can't answer, so you're on mute for now. Hey, there's someone else. Oh, well, they're not here yet, so. All right, I currently unmuted you, but if you're on a very short lease. Rick, I guess you're still not here. Millicent, is that how you say your name? Are you here? Millicent, welcome to the stream. Oh man, I thought you were gonna save us. The ballers are so scared, but isn't it funny that all the ballers are so scared to come on here and debate me?
I don't think so. I think they just are not interested.
Yeah. Do you have any evidence?
Kind of dying.
Do you have any?
Earth is dying. You know
except that it's like literally growing every day, and we have like 99% retention. So, hey, do you have any evidence that the Earth revolves around the sun?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Parallax.
Why is parallax evidence that the Earth revolves around the sun?
Stellar parallax is only possible if you are moving.
It's only possible?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, just calling it parallax, that's what that word means. It's caused by the motion of the observer. Yes. So that's kind of, yeah, but the actual phenomena is that the stars change position 100%, 100% possible and explainable by a geocentric Earth.
Oh, are you a globe earther now?
Don't need to be a globe earther.
Geocentrism is a globe earth theory.
That's called diversion. So if you would,
geocentrism is a globe earth theory. It's not heliocentric, but it's globe earth.
I'm doing this for the people, for entertainment, because all that. Can some other ballers please jump on? But listen, we're not playing the game where you run away, dude.
Tell me if.
Okay, you're not gonna interrupt me. Okay, you're not gonna change the subject and obfuscate. That's not how it goes on my show. Okay.
This is the subject.
Okay, so you're not going to do that. We're not talking about you diverting to a globe or something. You said that the evidence that the Earth goes around the sun is parallax, but you can get that same phenomenon if the Earth is stationary. So that's not exclusive evidence that the Earth moves around the sun. So do you have any exclusive evidence that the Earth moves around the sun?
I'm going with stellar parallax because there's no evidence for your other explanation. And
there's an endless amount of
a globe earther. That would make you a globe earther.
Okay. There's an endless amount of evidence that the Earth is stationary. Your model claims that you can't actually measure or detect the Earth moving around the sun. So all the evidence says that, and it's easy.
We can measure it with Foucault's pendulum.
You can measure the Earth going around the sun with Foucault's pendulum?
Rotation. It's rotation.
Yeah, so you're behind per usual. So I try to keep up. We're talking about orbit around the sun.
So you agree that we can know that the Earth is rotating with Foucault's pendulum?
No, this is another red herring fallacy. So we don't follow ballers around when they try to change the subject, because the only way that globe earthers can debate is to interrupt and to change the subject with fallacies. So we're actually going to stay on subjects. Do you have any evidence that the Earth orbits around the sun?
I told you. Well, another evidence might be the angular size of the sun. It gets slightly smaller and larger at aphelion and perihelion.
So the fact that the sun moves in the sky is evidence that it's not moving in the sky?
No, it's angular size. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, why would that not change if it was moving?
The sun changes in angular size is evidence that we are rotating or revolving around the sun.
No, it's not.
Sure, why not?
Because if the sun is moving, then it can also change angular size.
That would be a different amount, though, wouldn't it?
No.
If it's close and local, it would change a lot more, wouldn't it?
No.
How much?
What's your prediction? Another red herring. Another red herring where you're trying to shift the burden of proof over to me. Not going to happen.
You have to.
Not going to happen.
You're making a positive claim.
No, I'm not actually. Evidence. So I'm going to clarify for the room here. I'm actually asking you to substantiate your claim that the Earth revolves around the sun. You're doing nothing but using fallacies. You rely on the ability to not be muted and to change the subject with fallacies, but that will never happen. You're lucky you're even on the show. So either you're going to not use fallacies and be an adult, or you're going to not be on the show. So I'll unmute you when it's time for you to speak. So it's very simple. I'm asking you for evidence that we move around the sun. Okay, you said that the change of the angular size of the sun is evidence that we move around the sun. No, it's not. Of course, if the sun is moving around the Earth, it would change angular size if it changed distance from the Earth. So that's not evidence. So we'll start back over. Do you have any actual evidence that the Earth revolves around the sun?
I told you, stellar parallax. And secondly, changes in angular size would be, even if it can be explained in another way, it still counts as evidence. It would simply be weaker.
Okay, let's
all.
rephrase the question since you don't have intellectual honesty. Do you have any exclusive evidence? Do you have
Stellar parallax.
What was the refutation of that, Brenda?
The what?
The refutation
Of what?
of that argument. I already refuted that.
There isn't one.
So you can't even still man the refutation?
You have a globe model that you appeal to.
There
right?
you go. Diversion again. Hey, do we not have any other ballers in here? Because this is like...
What? Are you saying you don't appeal to a globe model?
No, absolutely I don't. So the fact that the stars move in wait, just to clarify, you're saying the fact that the stars move in the sky is evidence that they don't move in the sky?
No, that's not what I said. That's a straw man.
That is what your model says.
No, it doesn't.
Wait, are you saying that the stars... Wait, do the stars move in relation to us?
Nearby stars will move against the background stars.
Why?
Because we are moving.
Okay, so the evidence that we are moving is that it looks like the stars are moving, but they're actually not moving.
Yeah, that's what parallax is.
Right. So
it gives the illusion that the distant object is moving, but in fact it's because you moved. That's what parallax is.
You're useful in the sense that you'll just say the same robotic script no matter how ridiculous you look. But so your evidence that the stars are not moving is that we see them move.
No, the evidence that the Earth is revolving around the sun is stellar parallax.
Yeah, which means what you're saying is that the evidence that the stars are not moving is that we see them.
That.
You have to say that.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, the stars do move. We can watch them move.
But they don't actually move. And your model, they just look like they move.
No, that's just for stellar parallax. They also move with respect to each other.
Okay.
They do.
We're talking about stellar parallax.
Polaris is moving. Other stars are moving. The stars that are particular to the Milky Way galaxy move with us, but other even further distant stars will move with respect.
Do we not have any other ballers in here? You basically have conceded every single point. I'm probably just gonna let see you out. We'll just start watching.
Say that. Unblock me from your chat.
No, you're blocked for a good reason. But how do I? Why do you get to keep there now? Maybe like why do you get to keep unmuting yourself? How does that work?
Because it's
like, does anyone know? I don't. Well, are you allowed to?
You don't actually know how to run your PC.
Okay, so I'm just gonna end up having to mute you. I mean, kick you out because you keep on muting yourself. That's
learn your PC.
New rule, and that is that once I mute you, you don't unmute yourself until I unmute you. Okay, now I'm sure there's a way I can prevent it, but here's the recap of.
Yeah, you don't understand your own software.
Okay, you're out of here. All right. I'm sorry you guys even had to listen to that. All the ballers are so scared. Yikes. Okay, I'm not dealing with anything like that though. Oh, here we go. We got some money. And they're gone. So just to recap, of course, parallax doesn't prove that the Earth's moving around the sun. What they're claiming, it's so funny. That's why I did like engage so you guys can get it. What they're claiming is that we see the stars move in the sky throughout the year, and that's proof that they're not moving, and it's actually us that's moving. Think about how goofy that is. Parallax, aberration, retrograde, none of that's exclusive to the Earth moving around the sun. And the heliocentric model in relativity says you cannot directly detect or measure the Earth moving around the sun. You'll never be able to. According to general relativity, it's physically impossible to ever do that. And it'll always look like the Earth is stationary. So that's rough. That's your belief. It's a good intellectual honesty test, though, because if someone that believes in the mainstream model cannot even admit that they don't actually have empirical evidence that's exclusive to the Earth moving around the sun, they just believe it, but that the geocentric Earth is equally valid. They're like, oh, you have to believe in a ball. Geocentric doesn't mean ball. That means Earth-centered. That's what it means. So the cosmos is centered on the Earth. That was hilarious. Yeah, sort of. I really was hoping, like, we got to figure out a creative way. We don't pay the ballers though, right? I mean, maybe they'll behave better if you paid them. I don't know. We got to find a way. He just disagreed with you. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, no. What was wrong with it was every time that the point was refuted, and that's why M Ball, who's scared to come on here because he'd get dunked on. This is why he's a baller, because he just listened to that interaction and he's like, "Oh, they just disagreed. Nothing wrong with that." What was wrong with it was as I directly refuted their point, they immediately divert to something else. Oh, you must believe the Earth's a ball. Oh, prove this. Oh, well, it would be like this. They always change the subject and obfuscate and divert, use red herring fallacies. They never actually are intellectually honest. Anyone that watched that and saw that everything the person said, I immediately refuted, and then it was avoided, and then they turn around and be like, yo, that was nothing wrong with that. They just disagreed. No, they were just being dishonest. Parallax is not proof the Earth's moving around the sun. You just have to have a couple brain cells to rub together to understand that. When it was just his voice, it was wild. Yeah, sorry about that. I had muted it to play the video, and I didn't notice that my mic was coming through Zoom, but not through here. We'll get everything worked out eventually. Inball's a cheerleader? Yeah, but won't come on here. We'll never come on here. Okay, so if someone comes in Zoom, I don't know how to do this. How to make Zoom not talk. I need to step away. Ryan, what's going on? My mic was coming through Zoom, but not through here. We'll get everything worked out eventually. Inball's a cheerleader? Yeah, but won't come on here. We'll never come on here. I am coming through your Zoom. The YouTube's coming through. YouTube's coming through the Zoom.
Can you hear me, Austin?
Yeah. Just make sure you turn the YouTube off. What's going on?
Okay, turn my YouTube off.
Yeah, I could hear it playing.
Okay, can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm the one that asked the question about the 50th parallel. Now, I just wanted to say I'm not a ball earther, but I've never heard, a real good answer, because it seems like you should be able to prove one way or the other if you just circumnavigated the 50th parallel.
Like east to west circumnavigation around the 50th parallel?
South parallel.
Yeah.
Right.
So the only problem with that is determining the distance that you travel, right? So for example, there are races in the north and the south. They have the same boat, right? They go a certain speed. The world record in the south is 200 miles a day less than in the north. The reason for that is they think they're traveling a much shorter distance in the south, right? So you get your speed with distance over time. So they see, oh, well, the globe claims we're going this far. It took us this many days, which means we must have went this speed. And then they get way lower speeds than those boats are capable of. And then they go in, the north, for example, even on the clearest days. So like to actually, now I will say, if you could accurately track your speed, which is very difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if you had an odometer on your boat.
Yeah, but that doesn't exist, right? So speedometers, or like something that tracks mileage in a car, for example, it actually like measures the rotations of a gear, right? Like relative to the ground. Water's much different. Like determining distance in the ocean is very difficult, as is speed. And speed's usually distance over time. So in theory, if you could accurately determine the distance you travel, it would prove one way or the other, and it would prove the Earth is flat because it's way bigger in the south, and people have proven that consistently, taking way longer to navigate in the south. East-west circumnavigation in the south always taking way longer, but it's just hard to actually determine the distance that you travel in water.
Okay.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that's not it. Yeah. Cool. Michael, are you in here? Okay. Well, I'm going to just ask for the honor system here. I need to step away and use the bathroom real fast. So I think my Zoom will come through the stream. Hopefully no one does anything crazy, but I'll only be gone for a second. I think I can hide the Zoom. All right, what I'm going to do is play Taboo's. I'm going to play Taboo's video for a sec. I'll even share it for you guys on Zoom. All right, and I'll be right back in just a couple minutes, but I have to step away and use the bathroom. So please, I'm going to mute everyone. Please don't talk on the stream. All right, and let's come over here to share screen. Share screen. Bang, bang.
Be going off right now. As I was preparing this video, I found something else that's interesting. Out of all the flags of all the countries across the earth, can you guess which one only shows a map of the country as the emblem of the country? You guessed it. Only one. Antarctica. Yeah, the one country they want you to know the shape of. That doesn't reek of programming, does it? Let me make this clear from the beginning. Travel to Antarctica is more difficult than travel to a military base. Sure, the military base may have a visitor shop near the entrance, but if you go beyond that visitor shop or another designated travel area without clearance, you're going to get arrested, or something worse. I'm sure I already have a few globe shields ready to pounce, armed with various inanities to counter my statement, but let's ignore the global spin. This video is about evidence and facts and the reasonable assumptions based thereon. So let's decide to take a theoretical trip across Antarctica to find the edge, if any. I'm not talking about going to the visitor center along the edge of Antarctica, or an overly expensive cruise to a small ice shelf along the edge with a small excursion, or a flight to one of the multiple ceremonial poles, and then straight back again. Yeah, that's not strange at all. I must reiterate, because I will get a dozen comments telling me to take a cruise or that someone's best friend went to Antarctica. I am not talking about a trip to one of the few designated tourist locations of Antarctica. I'm talking about a real trek, pointed directly south across the entire 3,400-mile breadth of Antarctica and back again to determine whether Antarctica circumscribes the known world and to possibly determine whether there's an edge, a dome, or whatever, and then take a picture of it. I'm talking about repeating the trek of Admiral Byrd and discovering that area as big as the United States that has never been seen by a human being on the other side of the South Pole, full of minerals and such just waiting to be explored.
But strangely enough, there is left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
Quite astonishing. All right, we're gonna come back over here. All right, sorry, some people left, so we can keep watching the video. Rick, you're dropping the ball here, brother. You're not talking. Does anybody know what force the line is? It sounds familiar, but no. Ball straight up beta. Yeah, I don't know why. Oh, by the way, Dada, I got your book today. Finally got your book. Welcome to Miswit Level 1, Rockies 19. Hey, welcome to the Miswits. Maybe I should just freestyle. I don't know if it'll sound good, though. What video is that? I dropped the link in the chat. I'll drop it again. It is Sorry, Antarctica's Closed by Taboo Conspiracy. Dropping in the chat. Now, watch a few more minutes, and then I'll drop the Zoom. And just to clarify for everyone, let me come over here real fast. Like, I'm not pro censorship. I'm actually very against censorship. The only time I censor someone is when people come to the stream for like a long period of time and they spam insults, hateful comments, and they just spam, all caps, whatever. Like either I'm forced to put it on like subscriber only mode, but they'll still subscribe, or member only, and that's not fair to everyone, or like slow mode, which we could do slow mode, but they just spam insults the whole time. They never talk about what the subject is actually being discussed, right? And they just like constantly antagonize people, and they're just really immature, like hateful, toxic people. No chat. If you're interactive with your chat, if you have like ballers like flocking there, anti-flat earthers, like if my graveyard wasn't full on the YouTube bans, which I didn't ban anyone really, like it's almost all mods have banned them. I go through and I occasionally unban people if I notice that like probably one of the mods got ban happy or something. But like you see, there are reoccurring ballers here. I don't care if you think there's a ball. I don't care if you disagree. I don't care if you articulate your disagreement. I don't care if you make occasional jokes about flat earthers or whatever. It's just like the spamming, insult, toxic behavior of children. And that person that came on, Brenda, very notorious for being like an anti-flat earther, doing that very thing, said crazy things to me before, very disingenuous, dishonest, short lease. So that's why I'm not playing the games of like interruptions and avoiding the questions. See, this is why this show is the death blow to the globe, because this is where the globe comes to die, because you can't be dishonest here. You have to have an honest intellectual exchange. I'm more than happy to have you fully make your point. Just make it relevant to the subject. You can't use fallacies here. They'll be called out. We're actually going to create sound effects and a fallacy counter, and then we're going to put you on temporary mute if you reach a certain amount of fallacies. Right? There'll be a fallacy counter on the screen, and I'll just press this little board here to play the sound effects and to count the fallacies. So the show will get way better. Brave to assume it's a person. Seen a video. Okay, I just want everyone to get that clear. Like, I don't just censor people for no reason. I welcome ballers to come here. So, let me check and see if there's anything on the Rokfin. We do have a tip on the Rokfin. Thank you, Austin. Tiffany, thank you for the $10 tip on Rokfin. And actually, while we're doing it, I did miss a couple of tips on Rokfin from the last stream. And sometimes I forget, so I'm going to go read them. Real quick. Robert, thank you for the $10 on Rokfin Monday. Sickwood, thank you for the $5 tip on Rokfin. You've been killing it, Witsit. Appreciate all you're doing. I'll support however I can. Thanks for all you do, bro. Thank you. Much love. David, $10. Much love, brother. Keep it up. Thank you so much. David Torrey on Rokfin for the $10 tip. Exelio, a little something for Audit NASA. Cheers. Thank you very much. $5 tip. If you want to support Audit NASA, there is, let me see, pay. So there is an Audit NASA link down below, and on that website, you can actually donate to Audit NASA. That doesn't go to me. That goes to the organization Audit NASA. Although part of the funds go to me till I pay back like the $2K I put into it, but I'm like being real lenient with that. I put it on credit, so we just have to pay the credit cards to it. Okay, I'll drop this in the chat. This is the link to support Audit NASA. You can also go in the description. You'll see the Audit NASA website, and wait, we have the wrong description on there. We do. I'll have to update the description. So we're gonna play some more of Taboo while I get that all sorted out, and then I'll come back again. Here's the Zoom link dropping in the chat. Now it's still pinned at the top of the chat. So ballers, feel free to come in. I'll debate all you guys. Just be respectful and act like adults. All right, let's go back and watch some more of this video.
Okay, let's get started with our theoretical trip. So what is required to trek across the entire breadth of Antarctica? Now, I'm in the United States, and so we're going to examine it from the position of a slave of the U.S. But the rules are going to be the same for all 53 signatory countries of the Antarctic Treaty, and everyone else, since these countries all enforce the same provisions. To begin with, we need to understand that anything below the 60th south parallel is referred to as the Antarctic Treaty Area. What does that mean? That means I'm generally not allowed within hundreds of miles of Antarctica, from approximately 400 to 900 miles, without obtaining a permit to do so. Now, the U.S. government has recorded that some sailors have seen the mountain ranges of Antarctica at 300 miles distance while sailing. Of course, 300 miles should be impossible on the globe with a curvature drop of 11.4 miles, but the 60th parallel is between 400 and 900 miles away from the shoreline of Antarctica. Even under a flat Earth, that's a lot of lower atmosphere to see through, also referred to as atmospheric extinction factor, and a lot of angular size reduction. Despite the claims of the ignorant globe zealots, you can't see through that much lower atmosphere. In other words, I can't even see Antarctica from the ocean without first obtaining a permit from the US State Department, or whatever department that controls that in your country. Taking a trip to the 60th South Parallel isn't going to accomplish anything, and so we're stuck with getting a government permit. So let's go through the steps to obtaining a permit from the US State Department. This is the handbook of the Antarctic Treaty System. These are...
You can easily go verify this, and that's the craziest part. If you are denying this, and you saw, by the way, you saw how at the beginning of the stream I'm like, it's crazy. that what ballers have to do is they have to misrepresent what we say, and they have to say, you can go to Antarctica, you stupid flat earthers lie about how you can't go to Antarctica. They know it destroy their religion and their belief the earth is flat. You can go to Antarctica. They just have to lie. When we specifically say, yeah, we know you can go on approved guided tours, right? Like I personally know people that have done that, but you can't privately go explore there and figure out what's there. They only let you go to the approved region. I gave the analogy of the house. I explained exactly how stupid a response that is, and you saw what happened. That's immediately what happened. So there's no way to get to a intellectually honest or productive conclusion with someone that responds to this conversation with, you can go to Antarctica. It's just stupid gaslighting talking point. It's pure and blatant dishonesty. And reminder, if you constantly are in a state of lying, what will happen is you'll suffer from vibrational cell degradation and eventually get sick. And I encourage people to really not only seek truth, but speak it. Seek and speak truth unequivocally. All right, let's watch a little bit of this. Ballers, jump in the Zoom.
Are the rules that govern all signatories to the treaty. We'll be citing to it regularly as it lays down the rules that govern the Antarctic Treaty beyond the fluff of the treaty language itself. Most importantly, we're going to look at the rules governing non-governmental activities located here, and some of the rules regarding the protection of the environment located here. Now, as a U.S. slave, this is the first form you'll have to submit to get approved to travel to Antarctica. The form itself seems rather innocuous until you understand exactly what is involved in the application process. In summary, Antarctica is treated as a giant natural reserve. Like a military base, all activities and pathways in Antarctica must be approved. This is unlike any other area in the world, except maybe a place like North Korea. So when I say that no independent travel is allowed below the 60th south parallel, I'm stating an admitted fact, well recorded as...
Oh, who needs facts? Show you guys this real fast. auditnasa.com. You can sign up there. Pretty dope logo. No, thank you. This is the NASA funding tracker. Every second. Updating every second. It's actually a little slow. This is accounting for inflation since they first received funding. This is not even all the money they get. It's just the official annual budget. They get way more money than this. And then here you can come down to supports. So yeah, there you go. Audit NASA. Astronaut doing a dab. Get some. So right here, you can support it. And we're going to be updating a lot of this, launching merch, launching a monthly membership package. Very cool. You can also come here. If you want to get any of those blends, I got a lot of them shipped out today, a lot more being shipped soon. Getting all the supplies together. It'll be much quicker in the future. But anyway, ethericstate.com. Here you get the blends. So very cool. So anyway, this is going to be epic. Audit NASA. I just wanted to throw that in there. It looks like none of the ballers are going to come on because they're incredibly scared. So what can you do? But let's watch a little bit more of this. Tell me if I bump it up if it's too fast.
International law. The protocol states, as a matter of principle, that all activities are to be planned and conducted on the basis of information sufficient to evaluate their possible impact on the Antarctic environment and its associated ecosystems, and on the value of Antarctica for the conduct of scientific research. Organizers should be aware that the environmental protocol requires that activities shall be modified, suspended, or canceled if they result or threaten to result in impacts upon the Antarctic environment or dependent or associated ecosystems. If you visit Russia, with a Russian visa, for example, are you limited to one particular neighborhood and certain pathways? For those who visit America as a tourist, are you restricted to New York City? Or are you generally allowed to travel around America? No one is just allowed to travel around Antarctica. All of your activities, vehicles, and pathways must be approved, but it gets much worse. Now, how many genuine people watching this video think that the purpose of seeing the edge, the dome, or the extended plain beyond Antarctica would be approved by the U.S. State Department and the other myriad of agencies? Are you ready to litigate the matter when some State Department official arbitrarily says something like, "I think your expedition is frivolous and would be too damaging to the environment, especially in the light of the frivolity of the expedition"? I don't think a court will overturn that decision. especially when treaty law supersedes any rights you may think you have. So, we're going to have to come up with some fake expedition that will somehow get approved. Let's say we're a tree-hugging Luciferian geologist conducting a comprehensive analysis of the global carbon footprint on Antarctica and its flora and fauna. I think that sounds plausible, and so we could hypothetically fake our way in with respect to our purpose.
To avoid excuses, I'm about to try to buy a number. You can call the number, and we're going to prove that you actually are scared to come on here. The guy that's in here all the time says he just needs a number. I guess he's scared of Zoom for whatever reason. We're going to prove that you're scared to come on here. Oh, are you getting nervous? Are you getting nervous? M-Ball, I'm buying a phone number right now. I don't know if it worked though. Okay, if my order was successful, can you just give me the number, please? I don't even know how to find the number. Do you have Skype? This is gonna be hilarious. I just don't know. Whoa. Skype number. Get a Skype number. Wow, I just paid for like freaking 3 things, dude. It just cost me like $30 to do this, bro. What a joke. What a joke. I'm gonna play a little bit more of the video. I'll get this finally set up. I'm salty that I just like paid for like 3 different things. Don't say I never did anything for you guys.
But it will be tricky. Okay, I'm not advocating that anyone break the law. This is all theoretical. That brings us to the next point. Entire swaths of land are entirely off limits to all travel. These are called specially protected areas. It's pretty much guaranteed that no one is going to get a permit to go through a specially protected area. If my math is right, that's 1,373 square miles that are allegedly specially protected areas. You can see the maps on the websites, but I don't have time to plot all of them. Now, I agree that's not huge in comparison to the total alleged area of Antarctica. But I believe there's a distinct possibility that those swaths of land could be coordinated in such a way as to prevent me from going through Antarctica easily. So, right from the beginning, my route may be extra hard, especially if mountain pathways are blocked and the areas are much larger than claimed due to likely globe distance shenanigans. But let's go ahead and assume we can navigate around those prohibited, specially protected areas. Next, no motorized equipment is allowed at all for non-governmental personnel. Page 308 states, do not use aircraft, vessels, small boats, or other means of transport in ways that disturb wildlife either at sea or on land. That seems kind of hard, and very subjective, doesn't it? Antarctica itself is supposed to have a diameter of 3,400 miles. That means no motorized equipment for at least a 6,800 mile round trip? That sounds pretty damn impossible, right? Especially if Antarctica is much bigger than what is claimed. What about sled dogs? Surely they'll be allowed. What's that? Sled dogs aren't even allowed?
Sorry. There's a number top left. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure this out. I know. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting that I'm muted. I'll figure it out. Look at everyone spamming them. It actually does help though. Anyway, there's the number. You should see the number on the screen. I'm trying to figure out how to make it scroll, but anyway. So I think when you call, I should get the call. Let's see if he calls. Austin would be cool if you read the chat once in a while. I feel like I do read the chat quite a bit. Yeah. Better than veteran, don't want to let him in. Ain't got a toy but to let him in. Food is your medicine. Don't teach you desolate, teaching you Edison. How does that one song go? Better than veteran, don't want to let him in. Ain't got a toy but to let him in. I feel it in the ethers coming through speakers. You talking and see me speak it, but you're not about it. I leave them confounded with thoughts so profound and so deep that they drown. And I wonder what sound is a perturbation, reverberation. I heard to hate and I swear to fake and I'm sure to debate when people still in the matrix station waiting for station to say it. Take a debate it, regurgitate it. How dare you? That was terrible. Where's the phone call, bro? I just went and bought a number, bro. Where you at? Still scared. Now you got no excuse. I think you went sick all of a sudden. Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know how to do it. So sorry. I thought I could make it scroll. I mean, I know I can somehow, but I don't know how to do it. Word salad. Yeah. Is that what we should do? Just like, like just freestyle? Hey, will you guys just say words in the chat and I'll freestyle? We have already been live for pushing 2 hours. Let's see. All right. Wrap salad. You guys got to say words you want me to rhyme with. I have no idea if this is any good. I don't know what it'll sound like. I don't know anything. What I need you guys to do is let me know if like I'm louder than the music's too loud, whatever. I've never heard this beat, I don't think. This beat's not even dropping. What's going on? Tell me the number with your voice. They always got excuses, bro. Hey. Inball scared to debate, come up with excuses. Know that I'ma break it down, something like I'm juking. I ain't never heard the beat, I bet you I'ma nuke it. Speaking of nukes, can't prove it. Bet that you'll dispute it. Harry Mack, hands down the greatest. Heard the beat, I ate it, but knew they would probably hate this. My flow hard like pavement. Wayment don't need payments. They hate it, they waving. They know that it's wavy. Gravity really a tragedy. Know that they hate it, I feel it's a tragedy. Feel it's a travesty. Who's calling in? No one, they're scared. Inball's scared to call in. Say the earth is spinning, but nobody can feel it. Who do they think that they were kidding? Since the beginning, Enoch missing. Slay the competition with a composition. And often they offering the prophets for profits like they popping linen. They mugging, I'm grinning, they saw like they linen, but really I'm chilling, they up in their feelings. I heard to be killed. I know that they really gon' feel this, but never could ever admit it. Hey, know that I gifted. Know that I'm gifted, I guess I insisted. They looking offended as I don't need amendments. Why are you being demeaning, Austin? Yo, stop being so soft, bro. Hey, funny. Think the earth's a globe, man, that's insane. Lame. 1-864-641-136-5. They gon' have to lie, just defend the ballers. Crazy, they gon' probably end up balling. Yeah, in ballers, scared to jump up on the calling. Hey, for the lie they were falling. Hey, never heard the beat, it's obvious. I'm probably weaving right through all of the defense. All fast fall back, like they really were in prevent. Hey, I don't know how is the sounds like, am I louder than the beat? Imagination, we kind of already did that, didn't we? This beat's alright, it's not bad. I just rapped the number for you. 1-864-641-1365. Ether. I already did that, right? I mean, yeah. Oh, he's calling. You killed the beat. It's about to drop. All right, it's cool. All right, let's see how this works. All right, man. Don't be playing YouTube. Give me just a second. Let me transfer you over here. All right, let's see if I can get the Skype over here. Boom. What's up, man?
Sorry to disappoint you, Austin. This is Dave in Kentucky.
Oh, what's going on, brother?
Point out the numbers working.
Yeah.
I'll let you go.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for the number works. Confirmation, brother. You doing good? Oh, you left. Oh, don't be showing my stuff. All right. I guess we'll go back. I thought he actually called. I'm like, oh, he actually called in, but he didn't. He did not. Where'd my camera go? Something happened. Oh, it's because of that call. That's what happened. All right, what we'll do is we'll play this again for a second. Oh, I did it again.
Okay, so our trip is now limited to a very long hike in insanely...
Why are people so scared, though? You know? I don't get it.
harsh conditions over an extreme rise of elevation. On a side note, Antarctica has the highest average elevation of any alleged continent, but I'm sure that's just coincidence, right? But getting back to our insane trip, we not only have to walk at least 6,800 miles, mostly depending on when we need to turn around, we must also tread extremely lightly, as walking on plants in Antarctica is prohibited. I can't damage plants or frighten wildlife on a 6,800 mile journey in a wilderness. I wonder if the Lewis and Clark expedition was limited by such requirements. Good luck traversing 6,800 miles on foot without damaging plants or frightening wildlife with no motorized equipment. I'm not saying that we couldn't figure out a way to get around these big issues, or maybe we could just, theoretically ignore the issues once we get there, but again, I'm not advocating that anyone break the law. I'm saying that these are listed enforcement rules under the Antarctic Treaty System, and so think of how easy it would be for one of the many international bureaucrats reviewing our application to deny a permit to trek across Antarctica based on this one plausible excuse. Sorry, you're going to end up walking on plants and scaring birds at least one time during your 6,800 mile journey, and the Antarctic Treaty System prohibits such activities. Application denied. For argument's sake, let's just assume we're going to figure out a way to get around that. Don't ask me how. The next issue is, how are we going to carry all that food and fuel for heat? And don't think that the Antarctic Treaty System isn't concerned with how we store our fuel. The United States itself is roughly 2,500 miles across. So imagine the difficulty of hauling food, climbing at extremely high and unknown elevations, and carrying all of your extremely warm gear and supplies across the United States from coast to coast and back again, all on foot with no food stops along the way. And don't forget, we're going to have to haul our poop as well. You are going to have to drag your poop with you on your 6,800-mile Antarctic hike. But it gets worse. Your poop is regulated by a different pseudo-government agency, the National Science Foundation.
These ballers so scared, man. Oh, I got a call. You can hear it ringing, I'm guessing, so we don't even have to. I'll just come over here. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Tribune gave me this number.
How's it going?
Hey, man. My name's Jorge. Who's this?
Austin. Witsit.
Austin. Nice to meet you.
You too, man. I heard you think the Earth's a ball.
The Earth is a ball, yes. It's not an opinion or a belief. It's just a logical deduction from all the data and history and science and stuff.
I'm convinced.
I hear you do not think it's a ball.
No, I know it's not a ball. We tested it. Do you think you can? Maybe you can win me back over, though. Maybe you can show me all this evidence that makes you so sure that it's not a belief. Like, can you start me off? I've been asking a lot of people this. Maybe you can help me off by starting this. What exclusive evidence do we have that proves that the Earth goes around the sun?
Exclusive evidence that the Earth goes around the sun. There is, instead of the sun going around the Earth?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I think you can. Let's see, because the coordinate system stuff is always pretty interesting. And then I've had some discussions with some people about the Mach's principle and things of that nature. But as far as going around the sun versus the Earth going around, I think if you only considered those two systems, there probably isn't any exclusive proof. I mean, there's from a holistic point of view, you have a picture of the solar system that involves a simple description of one force that can hold everything together, that being gravity. But there's tidal forces from the Earth and that the sun exerts on the Earth that we've measured. I think those would be you would see those also though if the sun went around the Earth. But actually, the Earth and the sun both go around the center of mass of the solar system. So I don't think that's a easy relativistic thing. I mean, a coordinate system that you could just transfer between. So maybe the motion of the sun around the center mass of the solar system might be proof of the heliocentric solar system. Are you familiar with that?
Say it again.
The center of the sun around the center of mass of the solar system. The movement of the sun around the center of mass of the solar system.
How's that? What? How do you prove that?
Well, you can see the sun wobbling a little bit.
You see the sun
the whole
wobbling.
solar system revolves around the center of mass of the solar system. That's just based on Newtonian mechanics.
Newtonian mechanics is not exclusive to heliocentrism at all.
No. I'm not saying that, but if you go and solve the motion for two bodies with the gravitational force, you work in this reduced mass system, it's so called, and you work in a center of mass system, and then you'll find that two bodies are actually orbiting the center of mass of the system. And it just so happens if one of those bodies is very, very heavy, then it is as if the lighter body is orbiting the heavy body, but in reality, they both orbit the center of mass of the system. That is true for our solar system as well.
Okay, well, just basically reasserting what's in question isn't really helping us out, though, right? I mean, yeah, I know your belief system very well. That's why I don't believe in it.
That's how the math works. That's the physics of it.
Okay, I mean, I can show you a math equation. Hopefully, this camera's working here. I can show you a math equation that shows Superman flying. So, yeah, I can show you all. I can use Newtonian dynamics and show you a geocentric Earth with all the math working. I can
Okay.
literally show you an equivalence of the
So,
kinematics, the
do-
dynamics, the Lagrange point, parallax, aberration. So that doesn't help. Your evidence
collect
that
some
the
data
Earth revolves
on
around the
timeline?
sun is that we see the sun moving.
Yeah, the evidence that the Earth revolves around the center of mass of the solar system, which is very close to the sun, is that we see the sun very slightly wobble.
So the evidence that the sun is not moving is that we see it move.
The sun is actually moving. It is taking away the fact that it revolves around the galaxy, and that galaxy is in a cluster of galaxies and all that. But if we just remove that, the sun is moving in a very small orbit around the center of mass of the solar system. There's a name for that. It's not a closed orbit either. It's a very complex orbit because of the interaction of Jupiter and Saturn.
Okay. And so why does it do that in your model?
So it's not my model. That's just the standard Newtonian model. It does that because
The Newtonian model is over 100 years old. That's not the standard model.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking about the standard model of physics. I'm talking that's the standard model of our solar system.
So we don't have any exclusive evidence, though. Like you started this call by saying it's not a belief and it's proven, and then you proceeded to say, "Oh, well, I guess I really couldn't give it to you," and then you backed your way into we see the sun slightly wobble, therefore that proves that the Earth flies through a vacuum around the sun.
Yeah, we can measure the position of the sun in our sky, and from that we can deduce what both our orbit is and what its orbit is if we have a gravitational model, right?
Yeah,
so there's as you know, you're a smart guy from what I hear, so you know that when you're dealing in angle space, there's a kind of a distance ambiguity, and you have to resolve that one way or another, right? Through the magnitude of a force or a brightness or something.
Yeah, but brother, it seems like you don't understand some, no disrespect, but it seems like you don't understand some fundamental aspects of logic here. Like you said, it wasn't a belief, it was just a fact. Like it wasn't even something that could be questioned. And then I asked you for evidence, and then you proceed to present me reification fallacies, affirming the consequent, begging the very question in contention, telling me what the model's mathematics are, and saying, oh, look, the math works out if I assume my model, therefore it proves my model. But I can show you the math for a geocentric model. It actually works better. So if we're going to keep the same standard, that you're now invoking, then the Earth is in fact in the center.
And we've also put scientific instruments at Lagrange points associated with the Earth and the Sun. So we have scientific, so that's right there. It doesn't work.
It doesn't prove heliocentrism either. Like even if I grant you the fairy tale that they put stuff millions of miles out, do you know where the Lagrange point is?
There's not just one Lagrange point. I think there's 5, right? Let's see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 of them, right? In the Earth Sun system. I don't know. I mean, I'm in bed like half. But is that right?
It's okay, man. Look, here's the deal. All the Lagrange points. There's a Lagrange point equivalence with geocentric model. So it's called relational mechanics. You can use. Wait, let's take it step by step. You agree that there's a kinematic equivalence? You know, like what kinematics are?
Yes. Yeah. Like you talk about like a standard like Galilean relativity.
Sure. So, yeah, basically, of course, kinematics just being the way that bodies move in relation to each other, and there's an equivalence. So that doesn't help us at all. That's equivalent invalidity. So we'll set that aside. So there's also a dynamic equivalence, which means you're like Lagrange point, all that, like the math and one force for the whole. All that's equally explained dynamically with the geocentric system. Like even using Newtonian mechanics, which has already been falsified. Newtonian mechanics is objectively wrong, but.
So what is the force that's holding the sun in motion around the Earth?
That's what I'm saying.
I hear what you're saying.
I'm saying even if I just let's just grant Newtonian mechanics so we can make the point. Newtonian mechanics explains the sun moving around the Earth. So you can use what's called a neotectonic system. The sun moves around the Earth, and then the quote-unquote planets move around it. And your question is, why doesn't the Earth move around the sun if the sun's a bigger mass if we use Newtonian mechanics? Yeah. But that's because Newton only talked about the solar system. You know, Newton thought that the sun was the center of the whole universe. So as soon as you take his dynamics and you apply it to the rest of the cosmos, the angular momentum of the rest of the cosmos would cause everything to move around the Earth if you place the center of mass at the Earth. So it's like he only accounted for the solar system. He also assumed space to be absolute and fixed, right? So if you have the momentum, the angular momentum of the cosmos, you get real centrifugal forces, Coriolis forces, which results in a net centripetal
force. Get gravity.
Yeah, that is gravity. We just use the same framework to do it. That's gravity. You know, Newton didn't explain what gravity is. It's just a mathematical framework. You know that, right? Like he specifically said, I can't explain it. It must be an act of God.
He just, you are right. He just wrote a representation. He said, I'm going to assume this mathematical form, and I have one free parameter, right? That the coupling constant. And we fit the coupling constant using, I guess we used Tycho Brahe's data or kept off of Kepler's laws.
Yeah, Kepler took Tycho Brahe's data. Yeah, you can satisfy all of Kepler's laws though with the geocentric model.
Yeah, I mean that's a beautiful thing though, don't you think? Right? Kepler specified all this stuff based off of phenomenology. Newton said, okay, here's a mathematical form. I don't know why it works, but it works. And it explained Kepler's law. And then Einstein comes around and says, well, the reason that works is because there's a relationship between mass and space-time, and matter wants to travel geodesics. And that's why Newton's stuff works. And Newton explained why Kepler's stuff worked and all that from all the observations from
so much here, man.
Guy named Brahe, right? I mean, I think that's a beautiful evolution of how science should work, where you're slowly moving towards a better understanding of the universe. And all of that is based off of the work of Copernicus, right? I mean, he started it all with a heliocentric model.
All right, you got to give me a couple seconds to respond.
Go around heavy things, right? The Earth is not the center of anything or special in any way besides having us on it.
You're just reasserting the conclusion. So you got to give me. You just scopped. So I have to address all that now. So first of all, Newtonian mechanics doesn't explain Kepler's laws. It describes it. Math describes, science explains. It doesn't offer an explanation. Specifically doesn't do that. Kepler...
It most certainly offers an explanation.
Bro, you can't interrupt me, man. You just made a lot of points. I have to expose them. It doesn't explain it.
All right, go ahead.
It doesn't. He said, I don't know the explanation. It must be an act of God. That's what he said. So Kepler took the actual information from Tycho Brahe, right? That's where he got the information. Actually, Tycho and Ptolemy's system, like use Ptolemy's system, is way simpler. It has less ellipses. As 40 as opposed to 48 is actually simpler and more accurate. People run around saying the heliocentric model is more elegant and simpler. It's not. It's not even simpler. It has more ellipses. What's it called? Epicycles. Has more epicycles. 48 compared to 40. Okay, now we're going to fast forward, and you brought up, okay, so and to specify, Newton himself said the Earth could be in the center. In the final page, Proposition 43, Theorem 22 of his Principia, he says, the Earth could be in the center just like Tycho Brahe said. Like in the Tychonic system, the Earth could be a center, everything could be moving around it. All you would need is an equal and opposite reaction of a force akin to gravity. Well, if you don't have absolute space that's fixed, you get natural centrifugal forces that arise. You get natural inertial forces specifically that would satisfy his parameters. That was left off the publication, by the way. I have his handwritten letter where he says the Earth can be in the center. Now we fast forward to Einstein. He didn't like show that Newton's anything works. They are fundamentally different. Like you said, the geodesic. Newton says this pin drops.
That's false.
They're fundamentally different.
They are fundamentally different, but you can derive Newton's second and first laws. What's his second law from Einstein's field equation and the geodesic equation?
They're fundamentally different, though. Newton said that if this pin drops straight down, it's going to continue to go in a straight path unless an extra force acts on it. Right? So Einstein said it'll look like it's going in a straight path, but it's actually going in a curved path called a geodesic, and it doesn't require a force to make it curve. They're fundamentally different. Einstein said there is no such thing as absolute anything, much less absolute space, and Newton said that space is absolute and fixed. They're fundamentally different theories.
They are fundamentally different, but you can get Newton's theory from general relativity.
They're not the same mathematically either. They don't even...
In the flat space, low velocity limits, you recover Newtonian mechanics. I've done that, and I'm trying to do a video on it, but I keep getting distracted with other shit.
What does that even mean, dude? Like, think about this, dude. Think about this. So if they're the same mathematically, then how come gravity or relativity.
I didn't say they would.
How come relativity has a different prediction for Mercury?
Because relativity has a small correction to the force equation you get when you solve Newton's equation. Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah,
So
they're different.
because the gravitational force is isotropic. Do you understand that?
Isotropic, yeah, no preferred direction.
Yeah. So therefore, you have conservation of angular momentum. So your solution will lie in a plane, and you can cast Newton's second law using the force of gravity in the polar coordinates. So you can essentially reduce it down to one variable r, and you get a differential equation in that one dimension. But you get these kind of pseudo forces. You get a centripetal. You get your and you get your gravitational force. But if you do the expansion in nearly flat space using the Schwarzschild metric and GR, you will recover those two terms, but you'll recover one little extra term. It's a 1 over r cubed term. And that 1 over r cubed term causes it's a small effect, but it causes a precession. So you recover the exact same equation plus another one. And that's what you see that a lot in physics when you're expanding things out. You know, you've heard of these series expansions. At some point you can stop because the next term is just so small compared to the previous. But so this is what GR did. It added one little correction to the differential equation we solved when we solved for the orbits, and that caused a precession. And actually the solution to Newton's second law with the force of gravity is quite beautiful, man. You recover all the conic sections, but you've probably heard this. I mean,
it's not beautiful, man. It's also everything you just said is pseudoscience, man. So like math.
It's math, dude. So if we had a chalkboard, I would be happy to like sit down with you and go through the math with you. It's pseudoscience when it's just words, which is one of the things I don't like about these kinds of discussions. Is that I get to talk to people like you that I have to assume are smart, and I don't even know if you know enough math to understand what I'm saying.
But I've already schooled you the whole time. This is schooling Glovers. You're in the process of being schooled. Like you seem to have it backwards, right?
I just told you how you can.
That doesn't matter.
Why general relativity gives you that precession. It adds one little 1 over r cubed piece. You can go look this up.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter, bro.
Calculus. Have you ever solved a differential equation?
Yeah. No. Listen, dude, please let me respond now. Let me respond. This is my show, and I let you talk a really long time, man. Like, why do ball Earth believers always get so emotional?
I'm not emotional, man.
Well, you're interrupting me, man. I patiently let you go on about a complete non sequitur. So, can I please explain this real fast, man?
Go for it.
Math describes things, okay? Science explains things. I can give you an equation about how Superman flies. Doesn't mean Superman exists. Doesn't mean it's real. Doesn't mean anything. Math describes, science explains. You're really caught up in the math. You're like, oh, look, I can try to make some type of equivalence between Einsteinian and Newtonian mechanics. We all know that you can draw an equivalence with the field equations. We all know you can derive Newton's equations. We all know that. Everyone knows that. So, like, that's not even relevant, dude, right? First of all, I asked for exclusive evidence that the heliocentric model is true. We don't have it. This has evolved into like, oh, well, look at the math. I showed you I can use Newtonian mechanics and Einsteinian mechanics and show you that the Earth is in the center the same way. The same exact way. There's a dynamic and kinematic equivalence. I can get into the specifics of it. The covariance principle and the equivalence principle for relativity necessitates that you say that the Earth being in the center is equally valid and in terms of coordinate system, kinematics, and in terms of dynamics. And I can show you that Newtonian mechanics, again, applying relational mechanics, and I can send you a paper by Andre Assis, a professor, explaining to you that actually, according to Newtonian mechanics, with space not fixed, you get a real inertial forces, both that's Euler, Coriolis, and centrifugal forces that will actually result in a net, radially inward accelerative centripetal force towards the Earth, and it will account for everything dynamically. So all this math that you're so excited about, I don't believe in Einstein's theory or Newton's theory because I don't drink bleach, like it's stupid. But like, if you want to believe in it, that's cool. But it still doesn't say that the Earth is moving around the sun. There's no evidence at all. In reality, in conclusion, Einstein proposed relativity to explain Michelson-Morley. So the direct attempted measurement of the orbit of the Earth was null. It was negative. So he had to explain why. So he posed special relativity. He said there's no absolute frames of reference. Time is relative. Time, in fact, dilates, slows down because matter contracts in motion. And then he proposed general relativity because he only applied that to small, straight scales, like small, local, infinitesimal, flat areas. And so he had to actually extend it out. And by the time he got to general relativity, he had to say, the Earth being the center is equally valid. So none of this gives us any exclusive evidence. I can use all that math you're talking about and then explain a geocentric model. So what I need is exclusive evidence that we're moving around the sun because you said it wasn't a belief, but what it sounds like right now is that you blindly believe it. You just blindly believe it. You don't have actual evidence that we move around the sun. It's just like something you were taught.
Yeah. So there is no evidence that the universe has angular momentum.
Yeah, there is.
That would be an observable. That'd be an anisotropy in the cosmic microwave background.
We have anisotropy in the background.
There is some, and
it centers on the Earth.
There is a so-called like axis of evil in the cosmic microwave background radiation, but that's still undetermined.
No, it's not.
Now,
it's not undetermined. You guys just don't like the evidence. How's it undetermined? It's been observed every single time it's ever been documented. Every single time that there's an isotropic homogeneous assumption from the heliocentric model, we see that it's actually anisotropic, inhomogeneous, and that the area that's anisotropic specifically crosses on top of the Earth.
Yeah,
it's uncertain because it destroys your model.
I personally think that there might be the universe might have some angular momentum, and the fact that we see in the background radiation is not an indicator that the Earth is the center, but it's an indicator there's probably another universe outside of ours that's causing our universe to not completely drag the frame with. So look, if something
look what you're doing, dude.
It completely drags the frame. But to the other point, so the centripetal force does not point in the same direction as the gravitational force. The centripetal force points towards the center of the axis of rotation. The gravitational force points towards the center of the planet. So your rotating system fairy tale you're talking about does not give you the same forces.
Bro, how dare you even utter the word fairy tale, dude? You just brought up another universe, dude. This is the reality, right? Like the heliocentric model.
That is not standard physics that I just brought up, man. That was one of my beliefs.
Well, it is becoming standard physics because of the fine-tuning problem. Yeah, they're actually invoking infinite universes. I mean, everyone knows that. But the multiverse, that's not like something you came up with. That's to try to explain away fine-tuning problems, like the flatness problem, the horizon problem. Yeah, the anisotropy. It's just basically like, oh, there's so many different universes that obviously at one point something will happen. But this is my point, right? I asked you for exclusive evidence that the Earth's moving around the sun. I know for a fact it doesn't exist because I've diligently tried to find it. It doesn't exist anywhere. And in fact, all evidence shows us that we're in the center. That's what it shows us, because the heliocentric model predicted that we would have red and blue shift all over the place and that the Earth's position is completely not important. We looked out, everything was moving. Distant galaxies were moving relative to the Earth. So they said, oh, it must look like we're in the center, even though we're not. And everywhere we are looks like the center. It's just an illusion. So they moved the goalpost over. Now we looked at the cosmic microwave background. It intersects on the Earth, just like it would if the Earth is in the center. And it's supposed to be isotropic, but it was anisotropic. So what do? Move the goalpost over to maybe it's multiple universes. Anything other than accept the evidence for what it is. So you blindly believe that we move around the sun, although all testable and empirical evidence demonstrates the opposite, including direct measurements attempting to detect the orbit of the Earth with incredibly precise interferometry, starting with Michelson-Morley, over 10 times more sensitive than it needed to be to detect the 30 kilometer per second orbit that's assumed. So you believe it in the face of all the evidence. So not only do you not have evidence of it and you blindly believe it, you will do mental gymnastics to start making up new universes before you accept the evidence for what it is. So that's basically a religion, right?
So how do you explain the main dipole moment in the CMBR?
You mean the dipoles that show that the equator actually is centered on the position of the Earth? How do I explain that?
No, the dipole that shows that we are moving at around 300 miles per second relative to the CMBR.
It doesn't show us that at all.
And the direction. And we know what direction, right? Do you agree that the CMBR provides a reference frame, a universal reference frame from which we could measure relative velocities?
Well, according to you, there is no reference frame in which we can. There is no universal reference frame.
The CMBR is that reference frame.
Okay, so then you disagree with
it's not
relativity.
The Earth. I don't think it's the Earth. Like you, I think you think it's the Earth. I think it's the CMBR.
You're just gonna skate past all the evidence, and then like I don't understand. Do you have any evidence that we move around the sun? What?
Do what?
Do you have any actual evidence that we move around the sun?
Yeah,
Can you agree with this? The default position is that the Earth is in the center and stationary.
No.
Well, that's what all observations show us. Your model claims it just looks like that because it's an illusion. I actually have Stephen Hawking's book right over here. It's called A Stubbornly Persistent Illusion. That's what the whole book's about, with a forward of all kinds of Einstein quotes.
No, we've launched probes to the moon, to other planets.
Using Newtonian mechanics, assuming an Earth-centered, Earth-fixed system.
We have a good kinematic model of the solar system. If you can put a probe on Mars, which you should be proud we can do that. You sound like an American dude. There's not a lot of countries that have actually done that. USA is one of them.
You drink the Kool-Aid, man.
You should be proud. That was quite the achievement, man. And that didn't come about from knowing that it's a geocentric universe.
Name why we need to use a helios.
It doesn't produce the forces. Like the universe revolving around us does not give us the gravitational force that we can measure with devices around the Earth. You are right, because you're a clever dude. It does. You can do the centripetal, and the Coriolis and centrifugal can show up in that relative frame. But and you can't explain the fact that we are moving in a preferred direction relative to cosmic microwave background radiation.
How did you prove that?
Observable from the red shift and blue shift that we see in the CMBR.
No,
I mean, and we have precision guidance systems that have taken us to almost every place in our solar system, dude.
Okay.
And we have probes all over the solar system. Those things measure the relative positions between the Earth and the Sun. I'm sorry if you don't believe we've been out in space, but that's also evidence for the heliocentric model.
Wait. Stop right there. How is that evidence for the heliocentric model? Because I obviously don't believe in that nonsense, because it's all fairy tales coming from the government, and you believe that NASA is the one governmental agency that doesn't lie. Okay, whatever, if you want to believe that.
Well,
according to their own math, they all use Earth-centered, Earth-fixed coordinate systems with Newtonian mechanics that account for real inertial forces of Coriolis, centrifugal, and Euler forces. According to their own math, they account for the Earth being stationary, and they assume with the math that the Earth is in the center with the cosmos moving around it, creating real inertial forces. They actually account for them in the math, even if you believe in that story, which I obviously don't. So can you tell me, how does going into space, which doesn't happen, I promise you, that's completely fake nonsense, or they wouldn't have to fake ISS footage if they could go to Mars. But anyway, say that they do. How does that prove the heliocentric model?
Watch a SpaceX launch, bro.
I've been to multiple launches and documented them and talked to actual SpaceX and NASA employees during the launches.
Excellent. And they tell you that it bounces off the firmament.
Straw man fallacy, because now you're freaking. You realize that you brought up going to space, but that doesn't even in any way give evidence for heliocentrism. It does the opposite. To quote a professor, I forgot his name off the top of my head, astronomer, he said, if NASA's proof of anything, it's of a geocentric model. They literally use Earth-centered, Earth-fixed system using real inertial forces in their math. So
what is wrong with Earth-centered, Earth-fixed system, dude? I use that all the time. You add the Coriolis, centrifugal, you're good to go. What is the problem with that? It's this, you could work at Earth-centered inertial if you want, but some things, especially if you're dealing with the atmosphere, which rotates with the Earth, it's easier to do ECEF.
Dude,
but if you do that, you must put in these fictitious forces to get dynamics to work out, because it's a non-inertial frame.
Okay, so you have to treat it like the cosmos is moving.
This stuff, you would understand, man. It is just math.
I understand. You invoked it as if going into space was evidence of heliocentrism. I don't believe in it. I could dunk all over that. You can't go to a vacuum of space because it can't exist as has been defined. There's no evidence for it at all. You are invoking something that's literally the opposite of empirical, where I'm supposed to believe the government, and you're wanting me to believe that the NASA is the one federal agency that doesn't lie to us. Okay, bro. Sounds good. Totally cool. The one federal agency doesn't lie to us.
Dude. Pick the European Space Agency or the Russian Space Agency.
Oh, the
or
Russians.
the Chinese Space Agency.
Oh, the
Or
Chinese.
Korean ones. Just
Okay,
pick
you want to
one.
watch videos from all of them
Why
and how
would they
fake they
all
look?
agree? Why would all these countries that actively try to undermine each other all agree on the same physics? Well, why would there be a conspiracy to disagree politically in one area but agree scientifically? Why?
Why would they all agree to sign the Antarctic Treaty?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous question. So if I say I have no idea, it's a good answer too.
Sure.
Okay.
If you are confident enough to say you don't have any idea, when you
I have
don't,
plenty of answers. I have plenty of ideas. Like China. Say there's some of those countries that literally can't go to space, but they actually believe that U.S. does. So like, let's fake some stuff, and we have to pretend we're going there with them. I think that the top levels of all countries obviously work together. They all signed the Antarctic Treaty. So I just dunked all over that point, which was a diversion away from the other point, which is you don't have any heliocentric evidence. This is the fact, bro. Can you just be real and level with us here? Like level with us a little bit. You were taught the solar system as a child, just like I was. You maybe went to school. You learned some stuff like Kepler's laws, mathematics, Newtonian dynamics, Einsteinian mechanics. You know, you learned about how to do the math. I found that when pretty smart people complete mathematical equations, they internalize it as if it was their own work or intellect or something. But that's not a jab at you. I'm just saying I think that when people they get too deep in the weeds with the math, they start to conflate it to reality. But can you just admit that that's why you believe it, is that you can't grasp the magnitude of the deception if that were true. You can't grasp the idea that all these people would be incorrect with the Copernican principle, but you don't actually have evidence. You just blindly believe it. You've never actually seen exclusive evidence that we move around the sun. You've never observed or detected it. It's immeasurable according to your model. It can never be detected. I can quote Einstein right now. Everything happens on the earth as if the earth is at rest. Quote, unquote, Albert Einstein. So, like, can you just admit you blindly believe it? You know what I'm saying? Like, you blindly believe that.
I believe that the mathematical representations produce observables that we see.
So if I can give you math, will you believe that? If I can give you math of a geocentric model, will you believe that?
If you can actually give me a geocentric model, like the actual math, and I've been asking flat earthers for this, I will go code it up because that's actually what I do for a living, dude. I go code up systems and I explore them. Like, I don't just talk a bunch of shit on the internet. Like, I don't mind doing that, but I don't do it for your sake because you are vested in your disbelief. But hopefully some of the people that are listening to you are skeptic, like true skepticism is the heart of science.
I'm like dunking all over you though.
And we need it right now because you're touching on points that are important. Like you've touched on there's fine-tuning problems. But the standard model has 19 free parameters. Quantum electrodynamics, the standard model that is, and general relativity are incompatible, even though they're the most precise theories we've ever built. You know, general relativity is breaking down to galactic scales. And string theory is a fucking waste of brain power. It has completely killed theoretical physics.
Yeah, your model sucks and it stopped all of physics.
Arguing whether or not the Earth is a fucking globe, dude.
Dude, your model stopped all of physics, dude. The reason that we have, first of all, it's not falling apart. It fell apart in the 30s, dude. 1933, Fritz Zwicky discovered that our gravitational prediction was off, missing 99% of the mass predicted in the galaxy clusters to prevent the galaxies from escaping. 1955, gravitational velocity, the rotational velocity of the
I did my dissertation. I have a PhD. I did my dissertation on the direct and indirect detection of supersymmetric dark matter.
Oh my God, you didn't directly observe anything though. You just assumed it because if I assume relativity is true, then dark matter must exist. That is the antithesis of science. In science, if you have a theory and it makes a prediction and then the evidence doesn't match your prediction, you throw out your theory. Your prediction wasn't only wrong, it was 99% off to the point now where according for the energy and matter composition of the universe, it's off by 96, 97%, and it's not accounting for 86% of the matter in the universe. Your model sucks, your theory sucks, and religion holds on to beliefs even when the evidence shows it's wrong. Science throws the theory out. So why has it been over a century and general relativity is still taught to people as if it's a fact when it was refuted a long time ago? I can hear you playing the YouTube, but I just want you to know, man, like this is it's a weird belief. Like in reality, like everyone believed in the ether and Newtonian mechanics. Michelson Morley show that's not the case, show the earth doesn't move. So then they said, oh, let's add a fourth dimension of space or of time. Oh, we'll add time. Fourth dimension of time. And then we'll say that space and time, two concepts, can bend and warp. What? It's the stupidest theory ever, bro. Are you waking up?
So I don't think dark matter exists, but dark matter plus general relativity fits the data. I unfortunately, like, I think that's slowing down physics. I think we need to look at gravity. But right now, dark matter plus general relativity does fit the data.
But when you say fit the data, can you clarify for the audience? When you say fit for the data, what you mean is that if we assume relativity and we look at the sky, dark matter must exist, or relativity's wrong?
If relativity's right, dark matter must exist.
Right. So why are you not considering that it's just wrong?
It could. People are considering that, dude. And I left the field of physics because I don't think the dark matter exists, and I didn't want to study that shit.
And
But
you knew that you're not
around.
allowed to think for yourself because you'll get ostracized. Hey, can I ask what this is amazing how this all worked out. So if the geocentric and heliocentric models are dynamically and kinematically equivalent in validity, yet the geocentric model doesn't have the dark matter and dark energy problems, wouldn't that mean the geocentric model is significantly more viable, like 96% more viable?
Yeah, if it was, yes, if there was a mathematical model that's made the predictions that satisfied all the observations that we've made throughout history.
Yep.
This is a big thing, dude. This is the reason it's been so hard to get rid of general relativity plus dark matter, because it matches stuff all the way from like its structure formation early in the universe to now. It fixes the galactic curves. It fixes the cluster bounding, the galactic cluster bounding, and their velocities. The only problem with the dark matter is we haven't freaking seen it, man, and we've been looking for it for decades.
No, the only problem with it is that's
like,
made up.
There's all kinds of different candidates, so it might not be real.
It's just made up.
If it's not real, then you have to say, okay, then what is wrong with general relativity? Well, what is wrong with general relativity?
A million things.
Well, no. Well, what is the most obvious thing that is
on
not
its
congruent
face?
with?
On its face, it's inadmissible because it's a reification fallacy that attributes physical properties to conceptual abstractions, one of which is space, which is a privation, an absence of a mathematical description of length, width, and height. It can't have physical properties. Privations can't have physical properties, nor can time, as it's merely conceptual. It's how we conceptually describe change and motion. It is in no way anything other than an abstract. And to quote Henry Poincaré, which I always say his name wrong, it's like Henry Poincaré, whatever. Okay, the guy who Einstein stole his work from. Einstein stole his work from him. Okay, he literally said it the best way you can say it. It is not the universe which imposes space and time on us, but rather it is we who impose space and time on it because we find them convenient. He attributed physical properties to concepts, bro. That's why his theory sucks, because it's stupid.
So you're talking about a model. You said you have a model for your geocentric model. That will involve math, right?
Yeah, neotectonic system.
It will involve a representation. So space-time is a representation. And I will tell you that the fact that space-time can be treated in a special relativistic manner is real. And that was proven by Dirac. Because when he married quantum mechanics with special relativity, he predicted antimatter, and that shit's out there. And so there's a symmetry in the universe, and it's associated with special relativity, and it relates matter to antimatter.
It's because there's an ether, dude. The symmetry is because there's actually a substantive background. Dirac himself said that we're rather forced to have an ether. That's what he said. That's what he actually said. Dirac said we're rather forced to have an ether. That's why you have reciprocation. It's like
Dirac
a puddle.
Didn't know what he...
Oh, now Dirac doesn't know what he's saying. Now he doesn't know what he's saying.
No, he didn't know what he found. Later, it was verified that what he thought was like protons was really positrons. He tried to scientists like concoct some soup of protons out in the universe. I don't know. His equation gave a solution with a particle that had a negative charge, and that was the positron. So then, and we only got that solution because we didn't get that with Schrodinger's equation. And remember, Schrodinger's equation is based off of classical mechanics, the Hamiltonian approach to doing mechanics. That when you apply the Hamiltonian operator onto an object, you get the energy back out.
Doesn't match reality, bro. And the wave function collapse is pseudoscience. And a wave particle duality is stupid. Nature doesn't have duality.
Stop.
Everything that modern science is built upon. Dude, if you left physics, quote unquote, because of the problem with the devotion to dark matter and stuff, then why are you not listening to the stuff I'm saying? You're in a position where you can understand this, okay? The reason that all of physics is at this is the most important part of the whole conversation, bro. The reason that all of physics is at a standstill is because of their devotion to the Copernican principle. Thus, their forced interpretation of Michelson-Morley, thus the imposition of relativity. And if you throw away relativity, you're done, because now you can't explain Michelson-Morley, which means you can't have Copernican principle, which means the Earth has a special and unique position. So now we go to quantum, and all the evidence shows us that there's a substantive background medium. We have free space impedance, electromagnetic vacuum, the Casimir effect, spontaneous emission, wireless power induction in a vacuum, and on. We have magnetic permeability, electric permittivity inside of a vacuum, free space impedance of 377 ohms, right? We know that there's something there. But we can't say that there's a substantive background because that goes against relativity, which goes against the interpretation of Michelson-Morley, which means we should have saw a fringe shift if the Earth was actually moving through space. So now we have a standstill in both cosmology and quantum because of assumptions, philosophical assumptions and biases. It's a religion. It is the religion of heliocentrism that is stopping all progress in physics. If you actually wanted to make progress, you would acknowledge that, see it for what it is, and then not force yourself to make the same assumptions. It's the only way it'll ever move forward. We'll never go anywhere. That's why we've been sitting here for over a century doing nothing.
Oh, man. Talking to you makes me so sad because you are obviously smart, but you just don't know enough math to be useful, man. Listen, the Schrodinger equation solution to the hydrogen atom is a beautiful thing that has been experimentally verified.
Okay.
Those energy levels are quantized, dude. He predicted that shit.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I my problem with quantum is the interpretation.
Away, though. You're talking
no. I want to throw away the interpretation. The actual dude, quantum's one of the most experimentally valid fields ever when it comes to like empirically.
I'm with you. Quantum is the realest fucking thing. It is better than our models of gravity.
Yeah, when it comes to like testing and very precise measurements and observations. But what we're observing, that's a totally different question. Okay, their interpretation is founded upon materialism and everything must be little particles, subatomic particles, and they have to count everything. So they're flooded with an interpretation. If they accepted the ether, quantum makes sense overnight. If there's an ether, all of a sudden, instantaneous action at distance, layup. Every antimatter, layup. Everything is easily explained with an etheric background medium. Everything. Well, why can't we accept the obvious solution that all the evidence shows us? There must be a reason that we can't answer all these perplexing questions where, it's a wave-particle duality. No, waves aren't things. It's the motion in the ether, lights and ether perturbation. It's already there. It's excited. It's disturbed. No problem with wave-particle duality anymore. No double-slit confusion. Oh my gosh, all of a sudden the double-slit makes sense overnight. So if there's a solution to all of quantum mechanics, why are we not even entertaining it? There's a reason for it.
How does the ether... Just explain to me how the ether fixes some of the issues with the interpretations of quantum mechanics.
It will just bring up anything.
I've never, being in standard school, we don't learn that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, like, okay, for example, like, you don't need anything called virtual photons or virtual particles, right? Because it's just everything is an excitation of the ether. So there's a state of pure potential. It's a source of all the energy. It's in a state of inertia. It's the background. All energy comes from that. So whenever we see like magnetism, for example, right? And we have all the mathematical discrepancies of quantum mechanics with magnetism, like the Lamb shift problem and the energy levels not matching the predictions. Well, we had to come up with virtual photons, right? But those aren't real. Those aren't real things.
Fix that.
Virtual photons aren't real things. So that's what I'm like to quote Richard Feynman, he said, virtual particles are merely an abstraction. They're not the input or output of any experiment ever. It's just something that we came up with, a construct. Their existence is questionable at best. It's just used to balance the equation. Exactly. So what's actually there, though, because our predictions of physics didn't match the magnetism, which means our understanding of physics is wrong. That's what that means. But the ether doesn't have that problem. There's energy everywhere. In fact, it's the pure potential state of it. And magnetism is nothing more than centrifugal divergence and centripetal convergence from that ether's original state. You have the...
That was just needing relativity, man. The reason we were getting that issue with the lamp shift was we needed to add relativity to quantum theory. And once we did that, we ended up with a very complex theory that required some, to be frank, some really clever math, and I'm not sure that Feynman did us any good by how clever he was. There are a lot of infinities buried in quantum electrodynamics, and they figured out how to group them and cancel some out. But it's very precise, dude. I mean,
so you're like way too honest, man. You're like one of the most honest people I know that knows about all this stuff. Yeah, that's called mathematical wizardry. That's like sleight of hand, right? I mean...
I can tell you the first time I took a quantum field theory class and we calculated the charge of the electron, the mass of the electron, both to be infinite, I was quite disappointed with physics.
Okay, dude. So, I have a show called In the Field. You have credentials?
Huh?
You do have some credentials, right?
I have a PhD in physics.
Okay. Would you come on my In the Field show, which is specifically for people with credentials to show that we can have respectful conversation? Would you ever show your face?
I usually do show my face on TikTok. It keeps me from being an asshole because I'm kind of temperamental and I tend to behave myself better if I can see my face.
Would you be down to come on sometime in the future on my show? Like you can go watch the 2 shows I've done right now. I had a PhD astronomer on a few weeks ago. So yeah, we can just have like a respectful conversation where you can compare.
I'd like to get home so I can because I actually have a nice audio setup, so my sound can be better and it's a little more professional. I'm on travel right now, so I'm just on my phone yelling at it essentially.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, like just chill. And honestly, I think you're cool, man, because like you're being honest about stuff that sometimes people aren't very honest about. So I think we could have a good conversation. I definitely disagree with you. I'm
okay to disagree with folks, man. I mean, as long as we can talk and not yell at each other.
Yeah, that's the whole idea of the show, is to have people on, have higher level conversation, and prove that you can disagree respectfully, basically. Because it is 12:30 almost here. I'm going to end up wrapping it up. Do you have anything you want to say? Cool.
No, man, I appreciate the time. I would ask you to consider, our motion relative to cosmic microwave background radiation and how that might influence your kind of a relative coordinate system thing where things, where we're the center.
Okay.
I just don't think that there's quite invertible in that way. But anyway,
I've never heard of that really. I've never heard the specific argument that you're making, so I'll look into it. But maybe Troubling Tribune can link us up. And I don't know, do you have Telegram? I send all information to Telegram, but
we'll use him for now as an intermediary, and then we can sort out the
That's
contact.
cool.
I'm really only doing TikTok these days, man. I got off all the Meta products, and I, for some reason, never got into YouTube, even though I think YouTube's probably pretty cool. Maybe I should just get a YouTube account.
Yeah, maybe so. But either way, dude, if you can come on, maybe I'll do something with you on TikTok at some point. But we'll work it out through Troubling.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks for coming on and being respectful, brother.
All right, be well. Bye.
Much love. All right, we would have gone forever. I didn't realize it was already 12:30. Hopefully, guys, the audio and everything was good. And I want to show you guys this. I wanted to pull this up, but so here is Paul the Rock. That's what I was talking about. We have now the velocity at all points of space-time playing a fundamental part in electrodynamics. It is natural to regard it as the velocity of some real physical thing. Thus, with the new theory of electrodynamics, we are rather forced to have an ether, Paul the Rock. All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully everything, the audio and everything was good. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I know that basically conversations like that is clearly what people enjoy the most because they can learn the most in a more rapid succession. So cool. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I think that as of now, this will kind of be the new format where I'll cover a subject relative to heliocentrism predominantly on Monday, and then we'll talk about something more flat Earth related. Oh, someone's calling, dude. Hello.
Austin?
Yeah. You gonna cut the YouTube for me?
Yeah, I'll walk into the other room.
How's it going?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I finally got through to you.
Yeah, I was talking to the other guy. I can only take one call at a time. What's going on?
Yeah, I called you 2 times. Well, you've been begging me to come on.
Oh, this is M-Ball? You're going to come on at 12:30?
Well, I just thought I'd give you a call, make sure that you knew that I wasn't just not calling in, all right? So
no, I'm proud of you, man.
Time then, right?
It's about time. Yeah. Like you can call and Skype in the future. I mean, you can answer the famous question. You can answer the famous question we're asking everyone. Do you have any evidence that the Earth moves around the sun, or is it just a blind belief that you hold?
Well, I'd rather talk to you about just the shape of the Earth, but that guy that you talked to was a lot better than I could ever handle.
All right. What's your biggest proof of the globe before you get out of here?
What's that?
What's your biggest proof of the globe before you get out of here?
Proof for the globe? Well, I would take it in steps. Now, what I look at is that you can bounce radio waves off the moon, which gives you a distance there.
Oh man, you have to assume even if you could bounce it off the moon, you have to assume attenuation properties in the medium that is being bounced off, and you actually have to shoot the waves away.
You can do all that, right? But people, thousands of people are doing it all around the world. Amateur radio. Okay, next one is.
All right.
Of course, they're going to be the same thing. The North Star, the angles to the North Star. That's going to be the same thing. I know you're going to have your objections to it, but that's going to be
no good.
Another one.
Okay, no good. Go ahead.
I mean, I already know your objection, so. But I'm saying
you know that none of these are actually evidence that the Earth's a globe, right? Like you have to just prefer the claimed interpretation of it.
I can on a piece of paper, I can go mark out a distance and then put an angle, whatever we expect, for what would be at a latitude of 80, or start out with a latitude of 90, latitude of 80, latitude of 70, latitude of 60. And you can do that on a piece of paper, and it all works out. And you can go look in real life. It works out to be the same thing. That won't work out using a flat Earth as a base. So, I mean, you can argue that it's all optical and whatever, but
what? Like, yeah, that's it. We created a longitude and latitude system taking flat Earth measurement, angular elevation measurements to Polaris. That's where the latitude system came from.
Right, but here, take away all the latitudes, take away the longitudes. Now, just on Earth, go to where, all on your own, without anybody else doing it before you. Look at the North Star, and you see it's the thing that's not moving. Find your way to get right underneath that, so you're directly under it.
Can't do that.
Take that angle on yourself. Don't look at anybody else. Don't look at latitudes. Now, pace out a certain distance. Do another. Go towards the south.
All right, man. Yeah, 69 miles per degree.
Of course, you're going to say that you can't get that distance because ground or whatever. But you get that angle. Go another same distance.
Are you saying that 69 miles per degree proves the globe? Is that what you're saying? 69 miles per degree.
Or you don't have to have degrees. Well, that would be it. But you would be coming up with this on your own without that latitude, without those degrees. You go that far, and you would go, oh, okay. It's that many degrees. I mean, you would work this out on your own. You don't have to have it pre-done to say this is what it's going to be.
That's because we see in an azimuthal grid of observability. We take elevation angles. We have a zenith and an azimuth, and then we take elevation angles from that.
Like I say, already knows you can have some objections.
It's just a fact, though.
You don't.
All right, brother. We'll have to do this some other time. Like, definitely jump on it again, and we can have a longer back and forth because it's like 12:30, and I'm kind of tired.
And again, I'm not prepared here. All right.
You're good, but thanks for at least showing up. You get a little props for that. Later, bro.
All right, take care. Bye.
All right, guys. Thanks for kicking it. I got to crash. Got like a million things to do. We got a show tomorrow, big show tomorrow afternoon. And I just have a million things to do, bro. It's crazy.
Great debate with the fake ball. Now the real ball just called in and I can't wait till Witsit turns him to flat. Smiley face.
Yeah, well, that doesn't sound like it's gonna happen, but thank you for the super chat, Tim A. Let me catch what else we got here. DCH Gaming, keep doing what you do. Thank you for the $10 super chat, brother. Much love. Duke Lukum. He may not admit it on air, but his gears will be turning tonight. Respect to that dude, though. Love the honesty. Live donation won't work for me. Oh, Witsit.live won't work. I'll get all that settled out. I'm going to try to iron out all my streaming stuff tomorrow as well. I'm trying to chisel out 2 hours for that. I'm trying to work out, chisel out. It's a whole thing. You know, I need some secretaries. I'm not even joking, bro. Like, oof. And then I'm trying to put so much time into odd and NASA. It's just, yeah, it's hard to even focus on like getting money to pay the bills. All right, thank you for the $25 super chat. I'm sorry if anyone donated to live and it didn't work. If you're saying it didn't read through, I'm not sure why, but I apologize. I'll try to figure it out. Let me go check Rokfin. Will Davis, $20. Thank you. Thank you.
My love and well wishes to you and your beautiful family, brother. Heart, you're undisputed datedly the GOAT. Keep crushing hard. Fire. Much love. Heart.
It's pretty funny. I guess we have the guy reading on this one. Do you like? Thank you for being a member for 7 months, brother. That's legendary. Thank you for the kind words. Mr. Plant, much love, brother. Do you guys like the dude or the girl better? Hopefully you guys enjoy the new format. We'll get it all situated where it'll be like much more organized. Maybe have some people that can help me run it. I don't know. Is Discord the option? I don't know. I don't know what to do, man, to be honest, but we'll figure it out. I'm going to end up jumping on TikTok here soon, maybe in the coming week, and Twitter. So it's about to get crazy out here. The channel may get a bunch of new people, so just prepare yourself for that. Cool. Big show tomorrow. Let me show you guys where it is. I can even find it. In a world. If you want to support the channel, links in the description. $ Witsit gets it on Cash App. I think I'm going to read the PayPal's and Cash Apps off on the Sunday morning show, Witsit's Biscuits. So there's that. And I'll read off everything from the P.O. Box. I'll check it again Friday. I did get a couple things in the P.O. Box. We'll check it all. I think that's the best way to do it. I'll try to find a way to get all the donations to go through. I don't know how yet. All right. But yeah, that's... Support what you like or it goes away. That's the only way we're able to keep doing this, is if you guys support the channel, and I greatly appreciate all of those who do. Where are you at here? There he is. All right. I'll show you guys real fast where we're gonna, me, Dave, and Jaren are gonna do a stream tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. So there you go. I'll drop the link in the chat so you'll go ahead and have it. This is the channel name right here, Jason Shirka. So me, Jaren, and Dave have a conversation with them about the shape of the earth. Should be cool. Tomorrow, June 8th, 6 p.m. Eastern. Check it out, or you could be lame. All right. Thank you guys for kicking it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. I'm getting hot and kind of tired. So got lots of work to do. Yeah. So I'll reveal to you what all we're doing behind the scenes once we finally get more of it done. If you want any of those blends, it looks like we're gonna have to push the fast back a few days, or like maybe till the following week for anyone that's taking part in the community fast, just because of the amount of orders that came in late and because we have to situate everything out to make sure everyone gets it. So just bear with me on that. But once we get everything situated, everything will run smoothly with that. The link to get the blends are down below. a bit of a back order on the fire and coal, but if you wanted coal or the fire, I think we have some of that right now. So blends in the description. A lot of you guys should be getting it here soon. First link. That stuff's fire, by the way. I'm not just saying that. Like, that's what's in here. It's like it's what I'm always drinking. Okay. And if you want to support Audit NASA, which is specifically just Audit NASA, that's down in the description. And if you want to support me, description as well. Seek and speak truth unequivocally. The weak find contentment in the consensus of ignorance. So who cares what other people think when they revile you for his name's sake or for the truth's sake? Rejoice, for they did it to all the prophets before you. What's popular is not true. What's true is rarely popular. I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow night. Go check out me, Jaren, and Dave on Jason Shirka's channel. Much love.
Geopolitically, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers acting steady high, steady sipping pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up, had to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Took the way you saw the world, then distorted it. Now you think you wanna rock that twirl somewhere orbiting. Theories disproportionate, the truth distorted quick with a forceful grip. They force them as simple that we absorbing quick. Took the people's signature, that mean extorted it. They forging it. If news ain't cause informants who informing them, there's a surplus, but they tell us there are shortages. Credit economy mortgages, dollar that's supported with empty fortresses. But what's important is this: we courting ships, important gifts. Of course it is, what extortion is in accordance with an assortment list of foreign tricks. We ignoring which informant this, informant this. It looked like we were snoring tricked. Pedophilia and the government endorsing it. Yeah, eugenics is exactly what abortion is. You just vilify those insubordinate. Way to matrix engineer, that's unfortunate. Geopolitically, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder, is it real? Rappers acting steady high, say they sip with pills. Glorify suicide so they get the deals. Big pharma set it up just to flip the pills. Control the music industry until the scripts get filled. Geopolitically, yeah, we in a field that's for Israel. Wonder, is it real?